You are listening to Tomorrow's Legends with Havoc and Shadowcat. They ought to be talking about X-Men 97, led by me, Magneto. But I suppose it's acceptable if they deign to speak of some other people.
"30 years ago, one of the greatest animated series of all time went off the air. But now it's returning to our screens, and the mutants will rise again. X-Men 97 continues the story of Wolverine, Rogue, Storm, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and more as they try to move forward from the loss of their leader, Professor Charles Xavier. Join Havoc and Shadowcat on this new adventure as they bring you the stories of X-Men 97. This is Tomorrow's Legends."
Yeah, that's right. And you know what, Shadowcat? We should almost say 2 years ago this show went off the air.
Yes, 2 years ago.
Oh, man. Well, welcome, fellow mutants, to X-Men 97. It's time to get back to Season 1 and revisit all that happened in that monumental 10 episodes. We'll run through each episode tonight, covering the major points to help refresh your memories, and ours, of course. So let's get into it, our Season 1 recap. This is Tomorrow's Legends, episode 366. Oh my god, I am Havoc.
And I'm Shadowcat.
So we got no news. I mean, we're anticipating that as Season 2 draws a little bit closer to that July 1st, we might get some drops. I mean, the trailer is out, so I don't know. With an animated show, do they do much news drops?
They'll do promos and marketing. And I think for this one, since it is like one of Disney Plus's and Marvel Animation's like biggest shows, at least the first season was, I assume they're going to be doing more promotional as we get closer to the July 1st date.
Yeah.
But TV shows are a little different than movies still in terms of, promo and marketing.
Yeah. So there might be maybe some TV spots or extra trailers or something. We'll have to see. See what's going on there. But I know a lot of you can't see it. Those of you that are listening to it, I am full on Rogue tonight. I'm all green. It is so hard to find a man's Rogue t-shirt. So when I find one, I buy it. I don't care if it's $40. I don't care if it's $60. I buy it because I have two. I've been a Rogue fan since I was a kid, and I only have 2 Rogue t-shirts. That's how hard they are to find. Like, just Rogue on her own. It's crazy.
Yeah, just Rogue on her own. Not the full team or anything.
Not the full team, yeah. So it's crazy. But anyway, you are listening to one of the shows on the Cybercast network. It all began with Tomorrow's Legends, when we started talking about Legends of Tomorrow, and then we got into Stargirl, Superman and Lois, X-Men 97, Jupiter's Legacy, The Tomorrow People, and the upcoming Lantern show. And if you are into all the DC stuff, check out Dive Into DC with the Silver Ox and Green Butterfly. They got excellent coverage over there. And then Mandalore, if you're into Star Wars, we talk about all the Disney Plus stuff. We are almost done wrapping up Maul, Shadow Lord, and then we'll be getting into the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. And who knows after that? We don't know what's coming yet in Star Wars for the rest of this year. And then the newest show on the network is Firefly Still Flying. It's the talk. We're anticipating the new animated Firefly revival. So lots on the network for you guys to check out if you are new to our show here. Let's get into, we always rate everything, so let's get into ratings for the entire season, because I'm kind of curious. We just did an entire rewatch of all 10 episodes. How do you feel at the end of it? Let's get into that.
My daddy always said 2's company and 3's an eavesdropper.
So I'm watching all of it. There really was only one episode that I actually didn't like. So 9 out of 10 episodes, pretty damn fantastic, I would say. So I'm actually giving it a 9. I can't believe a cartoon can be this good. Man, reliving those episodes really sunk in how good this show was. This is not really a kid's show. This is more made for the kids that were kids when it first aired and have now grown up. It's serious. It can be dark. It's violent in a lot of surprising ways, but it's oh so much fun, and it's shocking, and it's traumatizing. I forgot how hard the emotions hit in this one. It was just crazy, but man, what a whirlwind ride to go through it all again.
You can do a lot more on TV now than you could in the mid-90s.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I'm a little lower than you on this one, going through this a second time. I am at 8 different emotions felt at once watching all of this. So I liked it a lot. there is a ton of great stuff in here, like from like the political dealings with mutant relations in this world and how they build that up, all of the character work throughout the season, the creative use of powers and team ups between the X-Men and everything, super great. It looks great, like the animation style is really, really cool for this. It's emotional, like chock full of Easter eggs and nods to the comics and references for us fans to find and dig through. But, you know, there's still some things overall that I didn't enjoy. Like, I'm on Team Justice for Maddie here. We'll talk about that. But,
okay.
And like pacing wise, like, I still think they tried to move too fast through some storylines or cram too much in at certain points. And for me personally, like, I just like stories that can breathe a little bit more and have more time to develop.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah, they did move fast through some of the stories.
Yeah,
so, like
that's
the
one
whole
of my
Goblin
biggest.
Queen. Yeah.
Yes, that's going to come up when we talk about that episode. But like that's one of my biggest complaints and just like my personal want in terms of like what I'm watching and so especially in a TV show when you have multiple episodes and you don't have you know, a movie's an hour and a half, 2 hours, well sometimes 3 hours these days, but you know, you don't have as much time. So this moved sometimes at like a breakneck pace, especially like doing a rewatch where I was just watching episodes back to back and not like one every week. And I do think that Bastion should have been introduced a little bit earlier because he didn't actually appear on screen until the very end of episode 7 out of 10. And while he was, you know, causing things throughout the season, I don't know, it just didn't feel like quite enough time to really develop him or give him like the time to interact with all the other characters that I think I would have wanted out of a big bad.
Right.
So, you know, some critiques in terms of overall, but still, like, very much enjoyed it. Yeah.
I mean, from where I'm from, an 8 out of 10 is 80% out of 100, and that's still rated an A. So, that's not bad at all. That's pretty good. So, yeah, and I agree with a lot of the points that you brought up. Definitely the pacing for sure. Some of the storylines, which we'll talk about tonight, they really ripped through them pretty quickly. Which could have, you know, if this was a 22-episode season, they could have done 2 or 3 episodes for some of these storylines.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, let's get into our discussion for episode 1. That's where we're going to talk all about it.
You know, I could just like phase through the gizmo and like quietly short it out.
All right. So let's talk about episode 1. To Me, My X-Men. So this is what's kicking off a show after, since 1992 or whatever. So 30-something years. How many years? That's a long time ago.
It was, it ended in... I think season 5 ended in 1997.
1997, exactly.
Yeah, so just about, that's 29 years.
It's been a long time. So what they basically do is they reintroduce everybody, the entire team, but at the same time as reintroducing everybody that might not have been around during the first iteration of the show.
Yeah.
They still made it feel like you're stepping into something familiar, like territory that you know, like you're walking into the middle of a story and just picking up the next chapter. Like I appreciated that they're making it new, but it felt familiar.
Yeah, I think everyone had pretty fun and like good introductions or like reintroductions for those of us who know the characters, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who maybe this was the very first X-Men thing they've ever seen, or which is interesting, but I definitely think it probably drew new fans in. And so like introductions for the characters I think were fun and fitting to the characters, plus like other significant things that you might associate with the X-Men, you know, like the Danger Room, and they had a scene in the Danger Room right off the bat, you know, set up what happened to Xavier at the very end of the show. You had past enemies and relationships being introduced, and they're also still having fun. You're seeing all the characters interact and have fun, and you're like, yes, this is still a team that knows each other well. So I think it did a great job there.
Yeah, the transition was seamless for almost 30 years. It's like, whoa, like it dropped you right back into it. And I mean, even you mentioned the animation style in your opening monologue there. The animation, yes, it's updated, but it still felt familiar as well. Like they still looked the same, just slightly updated. So, yeah. So one of the main storylines that was going through is we open up with this group called the Friends of Humanity, and basically what they were doing is capturing mutants and then selling them. So, and as far as I could tell, they're selling them to Trask, who we will meet later in the episode, in exchange for Sentinel parts and weapons and upgrades and whatever they can do so they can continue beating the mutants on the streets. And then, I mean, like you mentioned, what would X-Men be without a fight with the Sentinels to start everything off? Because the Sentinels are one of the X-Men's main big bads, and it just felt so right. It felt so familiar. Like, it just is like, oh my God, the Sentinels. Yes, I remember all of this. This is great. Here we go.
All right, so yeah, I mean, right off the bat, I mean, you have the X-Men going up against the Friends of Humanity, and they're rescuing a new face right there.
Yeah.
I mean, the Friends of Humanity are, they have the Sentinel tech and stuff with them, so that kind of starts off giving us they're probably going to find more Sentinels or a Master Mold, which is exactly what happens here. But yes, literally the episode ends with a giant Sentinel fight, which you're like, classic X-Men, right there.
Classic X-Men.
Classic X-Men. They're always... Yeah, Sentinels, I mean, it's a very 90s nostalgia classic kind of thing, but it's also a great showcase for everyone's powers and their teamwork and stuff. I mean, you had, if we're talking about the end fight, we'll just kind of skip around probably a little bit. This is just a recap, but I know the big thing, they showed it in the trailer for season 1, and then it's in the first episode where everyone was freaking out with the Gambit charging up Wolverine's claws and then having him shoot through the Sentinel. So, like, still watch that again, and I was like, yes, cool.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think it's like every episode or two, they have one really cool team-up, power-up moment, and that was one of them. That was cool,
Yeah, and, like, even, like, they had a great setup with Jean going into Gyric's mind to figure out, like, the connection to the Friends of Humanity, and, like, there's still a Master Mold active, and it had you can see her powers on display, and then, but you also get the creepy setup of stuff to come, because it has the stuff towards Bastion and Genosha and stuff already in there. So watching that again was cool.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot in episode 1, and it really made you just realize, wow, they're going for it. Like, they're just dropping you right in it, and here we go. So it was really, really cool. And then one of the cool moments too, which I think is probably one of the coolest moments ever in a cartoon series, was Cyclops when the jet gets blown up by one of the Sentinels and they're all falling from the sky. You know, Rogue and Storm are grabbing the people that they can because they're flying heroes, and so they grab Wolverine and they grab whatever. But Cyclops, no, I don't need no help. I'm just gonna aim my head at the ground like a missile and basically, you know, skydive towards the ground, and as he gets close to the ground, he blasts a massive optic blast that slows his progress down enough, and he has this perfect superhero landing, and that's when he stands up and he says, "To me, my X-Men," and it is one of the coolest moments of all time, and definitely Cyclops' best moment he's ever had, because people always have made fun of Cyclops, you know, here and there, but that moment really was cool for him.
Yeah, that's definitely, I mean, both comic fans, the people who've only seen the movies, people who've maybe only seen some of the animated stuff, they all kind of give Cyclops a bad rap. Because he's just very Boy Scout-ish. And
one-trick pony.
One-trick pony. Like, he only listens to Xavier kind of a thing. But, like, I think this show did him very well. And all the Cyclops fans who have always known that are, like, cheering because of this.
Oh, yeah. It was such a cool moment.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned earlier too, like we find out, or we get reminded that Xavier's gone, and the last moment of the show is Emma Frost finding the will that he left behind, and he personalized it to Magneto, and when they open the will and read it, it's just like, he left everything to you, Magnus. Like, you get the mansion, you get the X-Men, you get everything. It's all yours. In his will, everything was left to Magneto, and Magneto shows up in the mansion and he's like, my X-Men. And that is where the episode ends. And what a big bomb drop of a moment. First off, episode 1, boom, Magneto, everything's yours. The X-Men, they're all yours. That's where we end.
Magneto he's got to be showing up someone else's big moment, because Scott and Jean were trying to make their announcement that they were leaving after the baby was born, and then nope, Magneto's got to be there.
He's got to be there, and yep. So a lot in episode 1. It really set up the what's going to be coming in the show. It set up all the characters for us. It set up the big bad, and that now they got to deal with Magneto, the drama. Like, man, there's just a lot going on for episode 1. You're thinking, okay, we're in for a wild ride this season.
Yeah. But a lot of fun. I think a lot of fun to open that as your first episode.
Yeah, totally. So much fun. So that takes us to episode 2, which is called Mutant Liberation Begins. And I've kind of chalked this one up as probably one of the best episodes of the season.
Oh, I love this one.
Like, it's got to be at least in the top 3 of the entire episode, because this one was so good. And we open up with Jean. She's unsure of her future with Scott and their baby. You know, like, do we stay with the X-Men, or do we go where we can raise him where he's safe and just lead normal lives? And, you know, Scott's not focused on that quite yet, so she goes and has a good sister talk, which is one of your favorite things, with Storm.
Yeah.
And they want to talk about it all. And her and Storm just really, I don't even remember them having a relationship like this, at least this mature in the old cartoon. But here, they really, really highlight it. It's nice.
Yeah, like you said, and like I said in the comic issue, I really love the Jean Storm moments here and kind of their friendship and their sisterhood aspects. And I will say in the original, in 92, in the original animated series, it was more Rogue and Storm that were having those kind of moments. It was less Jean.
Right.
So I think that was a different choice to kind of go in the direction of more Jean and Storm here. And I can see why, because they kind of went more with the Rogue Gambit, Magneto emotional aspects and kind of arc there.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And in a way, Jean and Storm are maybe more mature themselves. Rogue is maybe not as mature, not as grown up as they are. So it kind of makes sense that they would maybe build a better bond, better friendship. So continuing the Magneto storyline, he's trying to prove himself to the X-Men and live up to Xavier's sacrifice and Xavier's dreams of what humankind and mutant kind should be together. And he's really trying. The X-Men aren't quite accepting him yet, but he's legitimately trying to show, I can be a good guy here.
Yeah. So, I mean, you see him saving humans and mutants. Like, I love the moment of him saving some of the Morlocks from the Friends of Humanity, even if that moment comes back in a different episode in a more painful way.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I love the shade still that Magneto throws to the X-Men about how they never thought to use Xavier's finances to help mutants get to safety. He's just like, well, I did this immediately after becoming the leader. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, and I always wonder, how much money does Xavier have? Like, why is he so rich? Because he was just a professor.
Family money.
Family money.
It was family money. He comes from a rich family.
Okay, so, wow. It always makes you wonder, is it millions? Is it billions? Where's this money? Because, I mean, he
just seems to have it endlessly in the comics.
Yeah. That's true. We also get the hint of Rogue and Magneto's romance. There's a moment between the two of them where they're face-to-face talking and they almost touch, and you can kind of and I remember questioning you during the season, like, is this something out of the comics? Because I in the time period that I quit the comics is when they had the romance on that's in the Savage Lands and stuff. So so I missed a lot of that. So, but you definitely see them hinting at it here.
Yeah, and then, but you know, middle of the episode, Magneto does not get a free pass in just being able to be the X-Men's leader, because we see Val Cooper and UN agents show up to arrest him for his past crimes against humanity. Yeah. And we get the trial of Magneto. So, and I noticed more on this watch, like in this specific scene, because we just mentioned that we just had the Rogue and Magneto scene, and them talking about earning trust and, you know, all of that, because Rogue came from the Brotherhood and had to earn the X-Men's trust. Right. So I noticed that Magneto asked Val specifically, you know, if he gets cleared from this trial, if he gets exonerated, like, will that have him earn his trust? And this comes right after that talk. So I just kind of noticed that little story beat here, that he took that to heart. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. Yeah, the trial of Magneto, which, you know, it really falls into the title of the episode, Mutant Liberation Day. So there's, I mean, Magneto's on trial for a lot, and he's having to defend himself, and the X-Men are there at the whatever, the assembly to, you know, protect from anything going crazy. But while they're there, the entire team is there. Jean is back at the mansion, and she goes into labor. The only person that's left behind is Logan, because Logan doesn't give a crap. He doesn't want to be anywhere around there. He hates Magneto, all that stuff. So he's just sitting on the couch drinking a beer, watching it on TV. And he's the one that she has to rely on to get her to the hospital because her water breaks. And she's like, oh my God, Logan, we got to go. And there's this fun chase sequence style action with Wolverine racing through the city on the Jeep. And, you know, because neither of them well, I guess she can fly, but she's going into labor, so she can't control her powers. But poor Wolverine is like, I can only drive you there. I gotta go. So when they get to the hospital, though, no doctors want to help because they're mutants. And the main doctor's like, nah, we don't help your kind. Screw you. Go somewhere else. And Wolverine, of course, is getting really pissed off. And then Cyclops shows up. Rogue actually carries Cyclops from the assembly to the hospital. So they both show up. But Rogue, under command from Cyclops, touches the doctor, skin-to-skin contact, steals all of his knowledge so that she knows enough how to deliver the baby, and she's actually the one that delivers Jean and Scott's baby, which I think is really cool.
Yep. Yeah. Both, just in terms of seeing them as a team and the trust there.
Yeah.
Because again, earlier in the episode, Rogue was talking about trust, and Rogue was like, but what if my hand slips and I touch the baby? And Jean's just like, no, we trust you. We trust you. Like, do it. Yeah. So it's like a nice little full circle there. But yeah, it's like that little beat of showing like the doctor being like, oh, because you're mutants, I'm not going to help you aspect there, which is in, juxtaposition of what Friends of Humanity and Executioner are doing in that moment too. But I love just the little beat where Jean's going into labor and she's like, he's coming. And Wolverine's like, who, Apocalypse? And it's like, just wait till next season, Logan.
Yeah. It's funny that's who he jumps to right away. Like, why is that the first name on your mind?
And they probably knew they were going to do Apocalypse next, so they were just like, let's just slip this in here.
Yeah, it's so funny. So you mentioned him earlier. Executioner attacks during Magneto's hearing. And what surprised me, because Executioner's just a regular guy with a lot of weapons, but he pretty much kicks Cyclops' ass in a one-on-one fisticuff fight here. And what I appreciate is that it shows us the X-Men aren't all unbeatable. They're not like a Superman or anything like that. They're people with singular abilities, and they can be outmaneuvered, they can be outmatched, they can be outfought. And this just shows that a regular man can take Cyclops down. Just depends how good of a fighter he was. So I appreciate it. Even though it sucks to see our heroes get beat, it grounds them, it humanizes them, it makes them relatable, which is something I always argue all the time, that Marvel's heroes are way more relatable than DC's heroes. And these are the reasons why. Because you can feel what they're going through, and you can understand he's just a guy that shoots laser beams out of his eyes, so if I get around behind him, I can take him out. It's not that hard. Right? So yeah, you don't want your heroes to win every fight. Like, that's just not going to be realistic or good stories. But also, they have superpowers, but they're still human. Like you said, that's the point, which the human enemies always miss here or don't care about, that the mutants are still humans. Yeah. Most of them only have one ability. So and they have to train hard. How can I use this ability to my best advantage to overcome any type of scenario? And
in the world of X-Men, in the comics, in Marvel comics and stuff, and I assume probably, in the world of the animated series too, the X-Men are really maybe like 10% of the mutants. Most of the mutants just have or don't have like the big fantastical powers like the X-Men do. So most of them, like, they have like a physical anomaly, like they're a different color, or they just have different. They have a tail, and that's their only mutation. But most of them are like Morlock status, kind of, or different things. So most of them don't have the big fancy powers. That's just kind of only like 10%, I think, is what was said in the comics. That have the big scary powers. It's
like there's tiers of them, and only the top tier has the superpowers that can actually be used to fight. Other ones, like you said, they can they can make a pot of water boil. Yay. Well, how am I going to do whatever. Like,
that's a majority of the mutants in that world, but people still are just hate them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're different.
So back at the assembly, again, Executioner breaks through because he beats up Cyclops. He breaks through. He's got this sniper rifle that's firing a specific type of bullet that, if hitting any mutant, it will immediately depower them, because it does something at a cellular level. I don't remember how they explained it. But he's got What's that?
It takes the radiation, the same kind of radiation that the power dampening collars uses, and it's just it's a concentrated like energy shot.
Right, there you go. So he's got Magneto in his sights and fires the shot. Storm sees it coming and she jumps in front. And it hits her right square in the chest, wipes out her powers, knocks her out, and she goes down. And Magneto gets pissed off. He screams, no, and gets really mad. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But what happens with Storm is as the episode progresses, she becomes very depressed. She's sad. She doesn't feel like herself. She doesn't know who she is without her powers. I don't want to be just a regular human, so she decides to leave, and she leaves a letter for Jean saying, I'm going. And this was a very heavy, very sad moment in the episode. You know, with her saying, with everything that she's saying, it was matching the visuals on screen, and it brought me to tears. It was very, very sad.
Yeah, it's a major storyline in the 80s comics that Storm loses her powers for a while.
Right.
And I think watching this the first time through was a shock to see it happen on screen, but second time knowing it was coming, like it was still sad to watch and see Storm go through that.
Oh, very sad. It was very sad. And like I said, I forgot to put in the notes here, but probably one of the coolest moments of the episode was when, like I said, Magneto gets so mad that he rips up a chunk of the floor with the table and desks and the three leaders that were judging him, basically.
Yeah, they're judging.
And he takes Executioner and he lifts them way up into the sky, like up into the stratosphere, and he's threatening to drop them unless they agree to, accept my apology, accept that I'm trying to change. I'm trying to help you here. And without me, we would have all died here, or we could have all died. Like, I am doing my best. And they're like, okay, it was a very, I'm sure I have his speech somewhere in our soundboard. It was very powerful.
We probably pulled it out last season.
We pulled it out last season as a favorite scene, but what a powerful moment for him to, someone's trying to kill him, and he still is like, I'm trying to change. I'm trying to turn a leaf here.
It's so good. Like, I still got chills the second time watching it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it might be one of my favorite scenes of the entire season.
Oh, really? Yeah, it is probably up there, top 5 for sure. Yep. You got chills for sure. Actually, yeah, you have it in the notes here.
Yeah.
I wasn't reading ahead. So Rogue visits Magneto later, back in the mansion, and she takes her gloves off, touching his hands to hers. And what we learn, which I don't know if they did this in the comics, but when they were having their love affair on Savage Lands there, but
yeah, I think so.
His magnetic powers can neutralize her touch, so that when she touches him, she doesn't steal his powers or anything like that. So it allows skin-to-skin contact that she's been craving her whole life. So you can't really blame her for falling for Magneto. I mean, it's not like he's an ugly dude. He's a handsome dude. He's powerful. Now she can touch him, and she can have that human connection she's never had. She starts falling for him again.
Yeah, that's a big thing throughout this season for Rogue is just wanting that.
Yeah.
What she can't have is that touch aspect to her relationships.
Yeah, exactly. But what really sucks about that scene is after that moment with her and Magneto, when she comes out of the room and walks down the hall, Gambit was standing there, and he sees her coming out, and I think he's got the little Queen of Hearts in his hand or something. And
yeah, that's his card for her.
Yeah, and he just burns it up. So it really, again, another sad moment. It's like the emotions in this show, in this episode, just like you're feeling like I'm understanding Rogue. I know why she's going to Magneto. It all makes sense. And then I see what it does to Gambit, because he loves her so much, and it just breaks your heart.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard hitting on all aspects right now. This is episode 2, but I think it might be one of my favorites of the season. It's just like, it's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, like crazy. It's just amazing. And then, Wolverine is really upset from Jean and Scott have the baby, and they're in love, and they're so happy, and Wolverine's still in love with Jean. He always has been. And now he's upset and depressed because their life is moving forward. It basically solidifies he'll never have a chance with Jean anymore. And he's pouting. He's up in a tree, and Morph comes to see him, and he offers him beer and snacks at first, and Wolverine's like, whatever. So then Morph changes into Sabretooth, his arch nemesis, and that is exactly what Wolverine needs. Like, Morph understands Wolverine. That's exactly what he needs. He needs to blow off some steam to get rid of this emotion and this hurt that he's feeling. And what better way to do it than to get into a play fight with my mortal enemy?
Yeah. Yeah. I know we're still only 2 episodes in at this point, and despite there already being like all the heavy and serious stuff we just talked about going on, I was also laughing throughout these 2 episodes a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of it was due to Morph. So they have a very fun characterization in this show.
They do. Very much do. So much fun. And then, of course, the end of the episode, another shocking cliffhanger moment. It's 2 for 2 now. We get a knock on the door. And Morph answers the door, and it's Jean. And she's like, I'm Jean Grey. What? And everyone's looking at her, looking at who they thought was Jean. Mm-hmm. And we find out there's cloning. There's a clone. Something has happened, and fade to black. That's the end of the episode. What the heck? 2 Jean Greys? What's happening here? Who's the real one? Pretty crazy.
Yeah. And that brings us to episode 3, which is Fire Made Flesh.
Fire Made Flesh. Let's jump right into it.
Yeah. I accidentally called this episode Inferno in our comic coverage because it's based off the Inferno storyline, but it wasn't actually called Inferno, but I thought it was. Oops. But yeah, so it like immediately starts right up where we left off. But Beast is doing some of his tests to figure out which gene is the real one, and he proves, because he does some sort of like almost like genetic carbon dating of their cells, which one is the real one, and it's the one that just came through the door and is passed out. And the gene that we thought was Jean is not the real one. And we're just gonna start calling her Madeline here because we're not gonna probably just call her Jean or another Jean. Everyone knows we're not spoiling that.
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone who's listening to this right now has seen it. But yeah, and it's, to me, it was kind of interesting how none of them believed Maddie or just questioned Beast at all. Like it felt like they were just immediately on, oh well, that's Jean and this is not Jean. No one's gonna question that. Yeah. I know they probably did it to have Maddie quickly get pushed into the Goblin Queen storyline, but it felt a little unrealistic that everyone was just automatically like, yep, that's Jean.
Yeah, it's like they trust Beast, his science implicitly. They just trust him, and so they're immediately like, oh my god, there's an imposter amongst us all this time, because nobody went to stand beside her. Everyone was just like completely ignored her. So I can't imagine, because for her, she's lived like how long a life with this team, with her family, and for them to just all turn their back on her right there in that moment, that's also soul crushing and heart-wrenching to watch her have to deal with that. So it just really sucked. And
have no idea that she was a clone to begin with.
Yeah,
she didn't know.
Yeah, she's like, I'm still Jean. I don't get it. I'm Jean. Like, she has no idea. Oh, man. So then in this episode, we also get Mr. Sinister. He's introduced. And he is creepy as hell, like something out of a horror film, the way he comes in, because he first starts talking through the baby monitor in this creepy demonic voice, and and then he's showing up in the bedroom, and he's just like, I'm like, oh my god, this guy is creepy, right from the get-go.
Yeah, they do a good job with making him creepy in this. Sinister was first introduced in the Inferno comic storyline. That was when he first showed up in the comics at all, and he was also very like maniacal and creepy there too. He's been characterized like off and on as either creepy or very like theatrical and campy in the modern comics, so he can go either way. But when he was first introduced, he was very much like this Sinister, very serious, very creepy, razor sharp teeth, glowing red eyes, dude. Yeah,
he was freaky. I'm gonna have to look. I think I have all the Inferno comics. I'll have to look into that. But as you mentioned, Madeline eventually, due to nobody standing by her side, nobody standing up for her, protecting her, or whatever, jealousy, anger, hatred, all these things evolve into her turning into the Goblin Queen. And she ends up with the Goblin Queen and her dark powers and all that stuff that's going on. She turns the mansion in basically the worst funhouse you've ever seen. Like, everybody's having nightmares, like awake, I guess you would call them daymares, but everyone's living out these horrible dreams of their worst fears within their own home. And it's just like, wow. Like this episode does go off the charts. It's crazy, it's kooky, it's scary, it's creepy. There's all kinds of weird stuff happening.
Yeah, so like everyone starts seeing all their own like individual fears in very like twisted ways at first, and then it turns into like the literal inferno.
Yes.
Just a psychic version. Because that's what her powers are at this point. Since this story doesn't have the limbo connection like in the comics does, which is an actual demonic realm. But we don't have that. So it's all psychic hallucinations.
No time, Abby. No time.
Yeah, no time. I know. That's part of my problem. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's literally the Inferno comics are like, there's 22 issues of them. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much. But we got to shove it into 30 minutes.
Yep, we do. So yeah, just lots going on. Creepy and
Yeah.
weird all at the same time. But they eventually fall through, like you said, to this inferno era. It's like they're in the heart of a volcano, and there's lava everywhere, and there's demons flying all over the place. And here comes the next superpowered moment. Bishop turns his back to Cyclops, and he says, "Cyclops, hit me!" And Cyclops unleashes a powerful blast into Bishop's back. And if you guys don't remember, Bishop absorbs energy from everybody else around him, and he can turn it back into I don't know what they call it, what the type of energy that he blasts out. If it's kinetic energy, I'm not sure.
Kinetic
Energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cyclops powering him up with his optic blast really supercharges Bishop, and he just lets out this spinning beam of light that just rips around the volcano and wipes out all of the demons. And again, that was a really awesome maneuver.
Yeah, it's cool. I know we talked to Isaac about that one. He liked that moment.
Yeah, because Isaac got to play Bishop. So yeah.
Yeah, so after they figure that out and the mansion goes back to normal, the team splits up. Some of them go to find Sinister and also Nathan, because Sinister wanted Nathan, so that's what happened during all of the distraction of the Inferno. And they end up at a very like fun, spooky looking church. Like it looks like they're in a Dracula movie all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But when they're there, Morph shifts into magic for a bit here. And even into her Darkchild persona, which is also a nod to Inferno as well, because the other like second biggest character and story arc in Inferno is magic. But I'm also just calling attention to magic, one, because she's my second favorite character, but also she or the lack of her in this story might be a major part in season 2. That's all I'll say, just going off of what I've seen in the trailer.
Yeah.
So we'll probably talk about that at some point when we go over trailer stuff.
Cool.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. That's cool. Yeah, she was in this briefly, and that I mean that was the
briefly.
fun of Morph, is he was turning into so many cool characters all throughout this series, like the Hulk and Psylocke and Daredevil. He just was changing all over the place. It's just so much fun to watch him, do different stuff. So the real Jean can't remember everything. She's laying in bed, and she's, because she shows up, like she escaped from Sinister's lair is what we find out. She escaped. So she's very weak. She's confused. She's been unconscious for years, apparently. Like, who knows? So she's...
We don't know.
Yeah, she's healing. Beast's got her in the bedroom, and she's healing and stuff. But this is where, Logan comes in, and of course Logan's in love with her, and he's trying to help her and help her remember this and remember me and feel my face, Jean. This is the face that loves you. And he's doing all these things. He's trying to get her to remember him and how he feels about her. And I kind of thought this was a scumball move by Logan. Like, he's taking advantage of her in a situation that she can't control, and take advantage of, Scott's got Madeline. I'm going to take this Jean. This Jean's mine.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're kind of a scumball. She's barely alive right now. Scott's off fighting a battle for you, and you're here trying to trick her and confuse her to get her to love you. I wasn't happy with him in that moment.
Yeah, Logan can be very caring, and he can also be a scumball. So
yeah.
So I mean, to an extent, I do get what he was doing. He's trying to ground her with a familiar face and a familiar mind to like help her, because she's just saying like, there's too many voices, I can't focus. Yeah. But yeah, like I've mentioned this before, but I don't love that they're still trying to do like the love triangle thing going on. That feels like it should. I know it was a very 90s thing, and that was a very big thing in the comics and the old show then, but
yeah,
it's been resolved to me. And at this point, we're in 2026. Like, it's been so far past in the comics wise. Like, I don't need to see it continue or get rehashed in this. I know we're going for 90s stuff, but
that's true.
It was a big thing then. But I've never been a fan of it. personally, and I know it was big in the movies, but and I remember that the season cooled down on it, but I guess I was misremembering or just blocking that out because it's throughout the entire season.
Yeah, it's not as strong later, but it is
but it's still there.
Yeah, it's lingering. So, yeah. Oh well, but like I said, it is X-Men 97, so
it is
calling back to all that stuff that was going on. So as the Goblin Queen is tearing apart the house and stuff, Jean comes around and she breaks into the Goblin Queen's head and forces her to remember the good things and the good memories so that she can snap out of her evil terror, basically. Which is cool. Jean versus Jean, fake Jean. But the original Jean is definitely more powerful because she's the original. She knows her power sets better. And I don't know, when Madeline changed into the Goblin Queen, I don't know if her powers kind of adjusted or switched too. If something was a bit different
I would say in this, yes, and also like in the comics, like she got different powers when that happened. Some of them were demonic influence with Limbo and everything happening,
right.
But like she did develop kind of a different. It's still the same. Like she has telepathy and she has telekinesis, just like Jean does, but
right.
It's in a different sense because of things that have happened to her and how she now approaches them because of Inferno, because of Limbo, things of that nature. So in the show, it did reflect. It looks like hers are different than Jean's at this point.
All right. So baby Nathan, which is Jean and Scott's kid, he was kidnapped earlier in the episode by Sinister, and he was thrown. And I remember talking about this. Sinister just takes the baby and just throws him in a tank of water, and you're like, the hell, man? Like, you're drowning the baby? Like, because there was no air. The kid was floating in a tank of water.
Nah, it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
He's fine.
He's fine. He can breathe somehow. But anyway, they go to rescue baby Nathan from Sinister, and they manage to succeed. But in ripping him away from this tank of water, I mean, Sinister even warned them, like, don't do that. Like, bad things are going to happen, but they do it anyway. They rip him away, and you start seeing all this weird circuitry type stuff growing in his veins, and it ends up being this techno-organic virus, they call it, and that's what he's being plagued by. He's getting taken over by this virus, and because it's a virus they've never seen before, the only cure they can think of is to send him to the future with Bishop, because Bishop's from the future, to find some type of tech that can cure him, because they don't have that type of technology here and now in 1997.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a sad thing because you see like Cyclops getting torn up because that's the only option, and he doesn't want to
totally
abandon his son because that's how he felt with his dad. Because Corsair got abducted into space, but then he stayed in space and never came back to Earth. So he didn't want to like do the same thing to his kid, but he realized it's the only option because they can't go with him.
Yeah.
But I do like that they have Maddie leave like a psychic message with Nathan, so that he won't forget them, that he still has like the memories of all of that, and a message that he was loved before he gets sent away. So, and hopefully making him feel less like he was abandoned for no reason.
Yeah. It was a nice touching moment, and Madeline didn't want to give him up, but she knew she had to. This was the only way. I have to save you, but I don't want you living with this idea that you were abandoned. And it was great, and she's able to do that, leave that psychic imprint on his brain. So it was cool. I liked it. Well, we get the end of the episode, and it ends with Madeline, and this is where she called me Madeline Pryor.
Yes, she chooses her name.
Yeah, she's leaving the mansion, and Jean comes to say goodbye to her, call me Madeline, and she's like, I have to go find my own life. Like, you are the Jean, you belong here. I need to go figure out what I'm going to do. Now that I know who I am, I got to go figure out what I'm going to do with my life. So it's a really nice moment. They're not mortal enemies or anything. They patch everything up. It's good. And then we switch to Storm, who's sitting in a bar, and Forge walks up and like, hey, can I buy a drink? And Storm meets Forge, and that's where the episode ends.
Yeah, so I mean, I do like the episode overall because I like Maddie and I like the creepier horror stuff. But it is where like my biggest complaint that I already talked about of the show begins, and that's them like speeding through doing really shortened versions of storylines here and cramming too much in too quickly. Yeah. Like I said, I like stories that have the time to breathe and develop and are, pardon the pun, more fleshed out. But so like Maddie becoming the Goblin Queen was just so fast, and like a turn, and we didn't really get to see like a real arc with all of it, like her getting to discover this stuff or anything. And the show continues to do this throughout the season, and I just like I said, not my favorite kind of storytelling. Like Inferno's such a big event in the comics, and this is just crammed into 30 minutes.
I mean, an impressive feat to do that.
It is an impressive feat, but there's so much that's just left on the floor that I would have loved to see. And like at the time of first seeing this episode, I know I was like, oh, Maddie got to live, because in the Inferno storyline, spoilers, she doesn't. But she got to live and go find her own life here. But giving what we know happens 2 episodes from now, I'm mad about the fact that that actually didn't get to happen for her, and she still dies anyway.
Just in a different way.
Yeah, that's why I'm Team Justice for Maddie. Just let her live.
Yep. So that, I mean, I agree with you that the whole thing about speeding through the storylines for sure. So that's kind of puts a bit of a sour taste in your mouth right now. Like, uh-oh, what are they doing here? Well, then we come to episode 4, which is so funny. Number 4 seems to be the bane of existence in all these comic shows, because whether you watch The Flash, Arrow, Legend of Tomorrow, or whatever, season 4 was the worst of all of them. And now we come to episode 4 of the X-Men, and guess what? It's the worst episode of the season. I don't even have a lot of notes here, so hopefully you can fill some more in, because this one's called...
I wrote a couple more, but not a ton.
This one's called Motendo/Life Death Part 1. And there's just not a lot to say. This is a wacky episode. The first half of the episode is so wacky. You get Jubilee and Roberto, who later becomes Sunspot. They're trapped inside a video game, and they have to fight their way out. And that's pretty much what their story is. They're just fighting video game versions of the life that they know. And the only highlight that I really got out of that is seeing the older Jubilee, because there's a version of Jubilee that's been trapped in here her entire life. So she's like a 40-year-old Jubilee. And she teaches her younger self what she actually can do with her powers once they mature. And we see some pretty cool effects that shows us where Jubilee is eventually going to get to. So that part is all I was able to pull out of this that I appreciated.
And, just a reminder for that too, it's the original voice actress for Jubilee, Allison Court, who's playing the older version and doing kind of a passing of the torch to the new actress, Holly Chow, which is cool. Cool for that. And I also still think overall it is the weakest episode out of all of them, but like in a rewatch now, I think knowing that after this episode the rest of the show is just heavy and heartbreaking pretty much the entire time. I do appreciate this episode more in that sense on a rewatch, because you have some light and silly before you heading into, oh no, a genocide. And then dealing with that for the rest of the time. So, and this is the only time Mojo shows up in this season, which honestly is fine. I don't really care for Mojo as a villain that much. But it uses the themes of not wanting to grow up and feeling safe, wanting to relive what you already know for Jubilee's sake. And it kind of goes into a little bit of like the dangers of nostalgia, which I think is funny considering that this is a show predicated on nostalgia, and Marvel can be really bad about leaning too heavily on nostalgia. Right. And like stories that we already know to bring audiences in instead of telling new stories. I'm speaking to you, comics, at the moment. And not letting like characters grow and change. So it's funny, but like it's good thematically in that sense. But this show is taking risks after this, and which is one of the things that this episode was like, you have to take risks, otherwise you're stuck on the same levels over and over, and you're just reliving things. But other than that, I think there were some fun nods for a lot of people who like the video games and aspects and all of that. Like they had references to the Konami, the video game that came from Pride of the X-Men, and you had some of the fun graphics and things of that nature. And you also had Roberto, who's just like, I don't know how to use my powers whatsoever, and he's just like getting beat up left and right. And Jubilee's just like, oh my god, come on. So
she had to like find an extra life for him, and
and
all that stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I mean, there are some fun moments. I mean, Spiral makes a cameo, which is cool. Spiral always,
is there.
She's a fun character, but she's more of a Wolverine character, so it's kind of weird that she's here.
Well, she's
And
a big part of the
the
Mojo
world.
verse.
Yeah, I remember you telling us about that the first time through. And where I feel disappointed is we should have gotten a Longshot cameo, because Longshot's from the Mojo world too.
Yeah.
And
Longshot was in the original animated series too.
Yeah, and I've always liked Longshot. His mutant power is luck. He's just the luckiest guy out there. And I thought it would have been cool. They should have given him
with all the other cameos. There were so many other cameos. It would have made sense for Longshot to appear here, but he did not.
Exactly. Dang. So that's the first half of the episode. Next, we move into the Storm and Forge, the life-death part of the story. And it sounds like from the opening sequence here that they've been together for a long time, like, I don't know, months, I would guess, at least, because he expresses his love for her. I love you, Storm. I'm like, what? Didn't you just meet in the bar last night? But it's been months.
For us, that's what it feels like. But it does seem, between here and a couple other episodes, it does seem like there's like months in between them. But it doesn't do like a great job of feeling like time has passed. So
nor do they tell us
like,
time has passed.
No. Just like, even like if there was just, I wouldn't even care if there was like a little lower third that just said like 6 months later. Like that's all I need.
That's all it takes.
And that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Or just someone dropping it somewhere in a conversation. Like, I just want to know, because it does feel like they met last night.
Yeah. And he's like, I love you. What?
No, I know. But it does, I'm pretty sure it's insinuated that it's supposed to be at least a couple months later.
Exactly. I mean, she's already living with him too. I'm like, damn, Storm, you don't hold, you move fast too. You met him in the bar, you took him home, he never left. Jeez. But what we find out is that not only is he falling in love with her, but he's been trying to fix her powers with all of his tech, because he's a guy that his mutant ability is basically, if he can think it, he can make it. How you describe his powers, right?
Yeah.
But it's not really the tech that can fix her powers. It turns out that it's her inner demons that are holding her hostage. And, you know, we think, okay, you got shot by the bullet that eradicates the radiation and gets rid of your powers, but it doesn't last forever, and it slowly can come back. And this is what this whole episode is about. Well, actually, there's 2 episodes of this, but we're beginning to learn that she has to overcome her inner demons first.
Yeah, I do think it's a mix of both. The tech did actually help fix her powers, or it wasn't permanent, and it's a mix of her holding herself back too.
Right.
Because I do think, I know we were talking about this 2 years ago when we were trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I do think the tech did work, but I think it's just, at that point, Storm was still like, no, like, she has too many of the insecurities and fears at this point. And the adversary's like, well, I'm gonna sneak in now and use that, and so you don't feel like you have your powers back at all.
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it, for sure.
Yeah. So a few things here. So we do, just as a refresher, we do learn that Forge previously worked with the Department of Defense here, and he was the one that originally designed the power dampening collars. He might not have built the first ones, but it was off of his designs.
Yes.
So we have that fight between him and Storm feeling like, oh, you don't actually love me, you're just doing this to help make your guilt feel better because you know that your tech directly influenced the fact that I got shot by it and all
Valid
that.
point for her, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say so as well. And, it's the same in the comics. He was the one that originally built the gun that took Storm's powers in the comics, which is why he's trying so hard to help her here. We see the adversary, who's a demon, and then that was it. I forgot that it was broken up into 2 episodes, so when it just ended, I was like, oh yeah, there's a second episode of it.
Part 2,
it's not, it's a part 2. And I do think something else to note here is that we see pictures Forge has on his bulletin board or down in his lab.
Right.
And one of those is he has a picture with himself in X Factor back in the day. So that's a team that Havoc and Polaris and others are on.
Yeah.
And we know that X Factor is going to be a part of season 2 because they're in the trailer and they've been in some of the promo material. So I wonder if he's going to team back up with them going into the new season, or if he's going to reach out and be like, hey, we need new X-Men, like X Factor, do you want to come help out? So I want to see if
it's
he's
probably
a part of that.
It's probably given. Come on. Yeah. They're setting
It probably is. Yeah. But
that's why they're showing us pictures.
yeah, I just want to know if he rejoins it or if he just reaches out to them or not.
But it's going to be cool to see Havoc and Polaris actually become main characters for that next season. It's going to be fun. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, Polaris looks like she's going to be a very main part.
Yeah.
She's been in a lot of the trailer.
Yeah, and I love Polaris. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's cool.
Magneto's daughter, who also has magnetic powers, in case you guys don't know.
Yep.
And that's the end of episode 4. So now, just like I mean, you described it perfectly. We had to have this one silly moment to get us not ready for what was coming in episode 5, because oh my god, episode 5 is probably the most heart-wrenching episode of all 10, easily. The emotions in this, it tugs at the heartstrings so hard that you feel like your heart's being yanked out of your throat. It's crazy how powerful this episode was. So we kick it off with Genosha being accepted into the UN. And celebrations are happening. There's parties on the island. Woohoo! Gambit and Rogue are there, and Jean goes to visit, and they're all hanging out, enjoying the party. And Nightcrawler arrives. It's our first glimpse at Nightcrawler in the new series. And, they're all happy to see him because Nightcrawler is Rogue's sister by adoption. They grew up together. And Rogue goes off to watch a show. I think it was Dazzler she was watching. She was watching somebody perform. And Gambit and Nightcrawler stay back. And Nightcrawler's like bugging Gambit, like, what's the matter? Like, you love her. She loves you. Why don't you make it permanent? Marry the girl. And Gambit's like, I don't know. I'm not that settling down type kind of thing. And I just thought it was so fun. Like, Nightcrawler just says it as it is. And he calls it as he sees it kind of thing. And, it was cute. It was fun. And it kind of plays on the romance that we all knew, between Rogue and Gambit, because it's always will they, won't they for so many years, but it was fun.
Yeah. And I love Nightcrawler. I like what they did with him in this season. So it was great seeing him show up.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like knowing where this episode starts and where it ends, like I was so happy originally, like to see something that looked like they were doing a mixture of Genosha and Krakoa, which Krakoa is the era in the comics that ended a few years ago. But it was one of my favorites because it's where they actually did all get to go live on an island and of their own for a while, and it was good, and like culture was happening, and it was great. It ended also in a similar fashion because that keeps happening. They just keep doing that. They can't be happy for more than like 3 years. But knowing how this episode ends, it's upsetting because it starts so happy.
Yeah, exactly. We have a nice little reunion, and then it doesn't last long because stuff starts happening. But before we get there, Magneto is voted in as Chancellor of Genosha, and he wants Rogue at his side. So this interferes with Nightcrawler pushing Gambit to go be honest with Rogue and tell her how you feel. Ask the girl to marry you before it's too late. It's like Nightcrawler was almost seeing the future, because no sooner does he say that, Magneto's saying, Rogue, I want you to join me. Be my queen of Genosha. And then right after that, she thinks about it, and we get our first gut-wrenching, tear-jerking scene. She tells Gambit her whole history with Magneto, what happened to them in the Savage Lands, and why she is deciding to choose him over Gambit to be with. And it's heartbreaking. They're arguing, but not in a mean fighting way. It's just they're disagreeing. He wants to be with her. He's trying to get her to believe that love isn't always about skin to skin contact. There's more. It's deeper than that. And she's like, no, you don't understand, Remy. Like, I can't touch you. I can't be with you. I need that. And they're just on opposite sides of their feelings right now. And it kills me. Like, I'm crying during this scene because Rogue is so upset. She's, I can't feel you. I can't touch you. Don't you understand? And it's, it's hard.
Yeah. Already talking about things, more than skin deep and, all that. And it's something Rogue deals with throughout the rest of the season. Not just the guilt and the grief of what happens here, but and I have no doubt that she's going to continue to deal with that into season 2. But just it's always been a through line for her of the cons of her powers. The fact that she can't touch people without absorbing everything and hurting them.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be interesting, I think, where it goes, because we know how it goes in the rest of this season and, her state of mind and what she's dealing with. So, and I know that's going to continue into season 2 because there's obviously no resolution there.
Yeah. They can't drop it. It's got to continue for sure. I mean, for those of you that don't even know Rogue's entire story, like she first discovered this ability, her first boyfriend, she was like 14 years old.
Yeah.
I think his name was Cody. Comes over to her house and they're in their bedroom and they're sitting on her bed, just, being teenagers, and she kisses him, but she basically sucks most of his energy out of him. She puts him
he goes in a coma.
Into a coma that he never recovers from. And that's when she learns of her powers and she never touches anybody again.
Yeah, it was traumatizing right off the bat for her.
Yeah. Like, it's a tragic story, and it's part of what has got me to grow into loving Rogue so much because of the tragedy of her story and she just, yeah. So all the stuff that happens with Rogue, I might feel it a little bit more than some people because I love her so much. Like, I would be in Gambit's shoes myself. I would just love her no matter what, but so late after she tells Gambit all of that, they kind of separate and she goes and gets herself all ready. And there's this big gala event happening to celebrate Genosha joining the UN and stuff. And Magneto's hanging out. He's all dressed in a nice, sort of formal tuxedo type of thing. Mm-hmm. And she comes flying in, dressed in this beautiful red dress, and her hair's all done up and stuff. And he's just like, whoa, look at that. Everybody sees her. And she flies over to Magneto, and they start dancing. And they start dancing in the sky, spinning around like up near the ceiling of the ballroom. Mm-hmm. And they touch. She takes off her gloves. They touch. They end up kissing, and it's all romantic and it's all wonderful. But during the kiss, she ends up pulling away from him. And she realizes that whatever she feels in this kiss is not what she wanted to feel. And she realizes she maybe made the wrong choice. Mm-hmm. I should be with Gambit because that's where my love is. And she ends things with Magneto right there. She's like, sorry, this isn't what I want. This isn't what it's supposed to be. And she flies off. But Gambit didn't see that. Gambit was watching them dance. He watched them touch. He started watching them kiss, and that's when he gets pissed off. He's hurt, and he leaves the room, and he does not see her pull away.
Yep.
That hurts to see. Oh, my God.
Yep. Yeah. And then just the side note that Happy Nation by Ace of Base is going to be stuck in my head again now.
That's the song that was playing, right?
That's the song. Yeah. That's the song. And I was like, oh, it took forever to get it out the first time. It was like a triggering song. I was like, Genosha. But
can you feel any more for these guys? Poor Gambit. Like, geez.
Oh, I know.
His heart just got stomped on.
Yeah, Gambit took lots of hits this episode.
And he has to witness that. The love of his life kissing another man. And, it's really hard. It's really hard. So we go back, we switch back to another scene back on the mainland at X-Men Mansion there. Cyclops is being interviewed on TV by just a regular TV reporter. And he gets angry at the questions that she's asking him, and he storms off, and he's getting like, he's pissed off, and he starts sounding like Magneto in, this is what's wrong with you humans, and you never did this, and blah, blah, blah. And like, wow, he's talking exactly like Magneto has been talking for all these years.
Yeah, I mean, this is, well, who knows? I don't know if, it's probably months still, but if we're going by that timeline. But he and Jean are still trying to figure things out. Like, he just sent his son to the future and doesn't know if he'll ever see his son again. Like, Jean's trying to sort out her memory. Like, there's all kinds of stuff happening. Jean's trying to sort out her memories. Like, Jean kisses Logan.
When she's in the water meditating.
I was trying to figure that out. I was like, oh no, I forgot that happened. So there's that. They're continuing that aspects. But, like, there's so much tension still going on and so much he's still working through. Like, I don't blame Scott, especially when he's getting leading questions, getting egged on. Also, it sounds like where she's like, I'm trying to give you like a fair chance. Like, I want to see the X-Men, and then but she's like, yeah, well, I looked into these hospital records and I saw that you had a son, and then it was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Like, he's like, no, I don't have a son with Jean Grey, and then all the clone stuff happens, and you're like, yeah, of course I don't want to get into that, and then yeah, of course I don't blame him for just going off.
Yeah, losing it, because I mean, also on his mind, like Jean, she's confused, but she finds out that he's been in secret
Yes,
psychic talk with Madeline. They've been, because Madeline's been on Genosha for all these months, but they've been talking to each other psychically through her powers, and Jean finds that out, and she's like, what are you doing talking to her? That's our thing. That's our special thing to have that type of connection.
Yeah. So there's all the soap opera drama of X-Men coming out in the newscast.
Oh, man. That's crazy. So let's go back to Genosha. And the party's still happening. You know, Gambit storms off. Rogue's mad or just changes her mind and she doesn't know what to do. All this stuff's happening, and Jean or Madeline goes out onto the balcony, and this big flash of light shows up, and Cable arrives from the future. And for those of you who don't know, it's no spoiler, Cable is baby Nathan, who's now grown up in the future. But he arrives and he's like, Mom, you got to get out of here. We got to go, whatever. And she's like, Nathan, oh my God, is that you? And she's not listening to him. And he's trying to warn them about the imminent attack that's happening, because he only gets there seconds ahead of the attack, and then it's too late.
And he gets pulled away. He gets
pulled back into his little time travel thing, and he's gone. And right seconds after that, a super sentinel attacks. I don't know if they actually had a name for it. I'm just calling it a super sentinel because it was like a 5-headed sentinel.
It's called a wild sentinel in the comics. Okay. Yeah, when it's like that.
I like super sentinel better.
Yeah.
It attacks the island, and this is where the episode goes off the rails into chaos and shock and awe and oh my God.
We're all just staring at our TV silently.
Yeah, not breathing, not blinking, edge of your seat, gripping the couch. What the hell is happening right now to my team, my show? Because there are so many mutants dying, and shockingly, like, we see Banshee flying across the sky with his wife, and he's trying to talk to Madeline. Oh my God, da-da-da, and he gets blasted by a sentinel and just disintegrates. Holy crap, Banshee's gone. And then Dazzler gets blown up, and the Morlocks get blown. Like, there's just mutants dying everywhere, and we see the dead bodies all laying all over the ground. Like, it's insane chaos. It's
morbid. I mean, like, we see a group of them get squished by the Xavier statue at one point, and it's like, I think, just a quick roster of who we did specifically see, just because I do think they're going to explore more of the fallout of Genosha next season.
Okay.
And potentially, go into a little more of like who died, and we'll see some characters introduced next season because they lost someone on or were affected by what happened on Genosha. Yeah. So you just said, we saw Banshee, Dazzler, so Madeline, unfortunately, Sebastian Shaw, Callisto, Leech, Marrow, they're both Morlocks, Moira, who is the human from Muir Island there, Squid Boy, and then Tommy and Urg, who were other Morlocks who were there with Leech and Magneto at the very end there. That's who I could visibly see here, who I knew was, I mean, I know there's probably others in the crowd, but not like of specifically main characters, but there's a lot. There's a lot.
And I mean, it's surprising Dazzler and Banshee, because they both had the time as part of the X-Men.
Yeah, I know.
To barely even have much more than a cameo and be wiped out the way they did, it's just like, holy crap.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I think some of them were for shock value, especially like Banshees. You're like, he's getting people out, and then and you're like, oh, no more Banshee.
No more Banshee. And that was he was the first one.
I know.
So it's like, what? And it reminded me, I don't know if any Transformers fans here, from Transformers 1986, the cartoon, none of them ever got hurt or died in the cartoon. But then Transformers, the movie came out, and there's an opening scene in the opening 10 minutes. Megatron attacks a spaceship full of Transformers that is arriving to Earth, and he just starts blasting them left and right, and he's killing Ironhide and all these Transformers that have been around for years. He just kills them all in this opening 5 minutes of the movie, and you're like, what is happening here? Transformers don't die, and yet they're dying left, right, and center. And that's what this reminded me of. Like, oh my God, the shock value is the same. Oh, so as all of this is breaking loose, as chaos is happening, Rogue and Gambit find each other in the fight, and they team up because they're so good at fighting together, and they take on a bunch of the Sentinels in this awesome display of fighting. He's on a motorcycle, she's flying beside him, and they're combining their powers and just wrecking havoc and taking Sentinels out, just the two of them, and it's friggin' awesome to see. And like you said earlier, Magneto befriends a bunch of the Morlocks, and he grabs a little leech there, and he's like, just stay with me, I promise you will not get hurt. There's nothing to be scared of. And he puts up this big shield of magnetism around them because the Sentinels are just going nuts here and attacking everybody and anything. So there's a lot happening there, but oh my god, that sequence with Rogue and Gambit was just super cool.
Yes, that sequence super cool. Then the rest is heartbreaking. So yeah, like you said, like Magneto's he's trying to protect the couple of Morlocks that he's with, and he's getting Holocaust flashbacks while he's fighting in the middle of this, remembering that. And then he has that hub kind of angst. He's what he says to Leech, which means have no fear in German. And it's just like, and then they get blasted, and it's just like, this is terrible. I'm watching everyone die. Yeah, and like he's trying to hold back Rogue and Gambit because Rogue is trying to flow over to them, and Gambit's like, no, he's trying to protect us. Like, don't go over there.
Yeah, so he wraps them up with pieces of metal tied to a telephone pole, basically, and holding him there. He's like, don't come near me. I've got this. And he's trying to protect everybody at once. But I think that was part of the problem, is his powers were spread out too much, that he couldn't hold back against the Sentinel anymore after that. And the Sentinels were. This is like one of 2 or 3 times we hear during the series the Sentinel's like Omega level threat, and that's why they went after Magneto, because he started powering up, and they went to him. So while that is going on, Rogue is starting to lose her cool, and she goes after the Sentinels alone, and she takes off. She's mad. She powers up, and she's flying at like Mach 1, going after the main Sentinel. And Gambit hops on his motorcycle and goes after her, and he ends up intercepting her. He basically body checks her out of the way, takes her off of her flight path, and goes after the Sentinel himself instead. But as he's doing that, as he's flying through the air to make his attack, he gets stabbed right through the ribcage on the side by some long metal tentacle thing. And the Sentinel's holding him up, and he's bleeding out of his mouth, and he's like hanging, like his whole body's hanging by this tentacle on his side. And he decides this whole, I don't know if I can even describe it properly, but he basically puts both hands on the tentacle, and he starts supercharging it with his kinetic energy. And he looks at the Sentinel, and he says, the name's Gambit, remember it. And he powers it up to this nuclear level type explosion, completely obliterates the entire Sentinel, the Super Sentinel, but it kills himself in the process. Like, he unleashed all of his power in that one attack, and ends up killing himself in the process. And like you said, you're sitting there speechless. You're not blinking. You're in shock. What just happened? You're not sure at that moment yet if he's okay. You have no idea. Everything goes quiet, and we kind of cut to moments later, and the fight is over. People are scrambling. Are you okay? Where is everybody? And they're trying to find out who's alive and stuff. And then we get to this big crater in the ground that Gambit caused. And some of the mutants are looking over the edge, and you start to hear sobbing. And Rogue is down at the bottom of the crater, and she's got Gambit in her arms, and she's holding him, and she's crying. And I'm gonna cry talking this. Holy cow. She says, I can't feel you. And the screen fades to black. And god damn it, it made me bawl my eyes out again. I'm crying right now. This is insane.
Yeah, I still cried after it too. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Despite it not being a shock this time, like I knew it was coming, but it was still a shock. Matter. So yeah, I cried after the end of this episode too. It's still a lot. It's the voice actress for Rogue. Her performance is absolutely amazing. She's like the crying and the
What's her name again? Why am I blanking? Her
Lenore?
name? Lenore. I was going to say Lenore. Yeah, Lenore.
Mm-hmm.
You are amazing. I love you. I wish I could meet you in person one day so I can give you a big hug and tell you how much I love you as Rogue. She just ripped my heart out of my chest with that scene. And I mean, it fades to black as Rogue is speaking. So you just hear her voice in the blackness.
Mm-hmm.
And that sinks it in even deeper. Gosh.
Yeah.
A cartoon made me cry more than I've ever cried in any other TV show or movie that I can remember. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, cartoons can be serious. Just because.
Yeah. And I remember...
Especially nowadays.
I remember when we were doing the season 1 coverage and I played that clip and we're both sitting here crying while I
yeah,
played
it's like, we can't finish the episode. Why did we do this?
Oh my God. All right.
Making everybody at home cry again, too.
Yeah. I mean, I would play the clips. I just don't have them loaded up, but we don't need to go through that right now. Whew.
Yeah, people can just be masochists on their own and go make themselves cry.
Oh, Rogue. So let's move on to episode 6. It's Life Death Part 2.
Mm-hmm. Which is also kind of split in half because we have all the Xavier stuff in space happening. So this episode, it opens with Deathbird and the Shi'ar Imperial Guard. They're fighting Ronan and the Kree, which feels very out of left field.
Yeah, like it is out of left field because if you don't know anything about the Shi'ar Empire, you're like, who are these people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you know nothing about the galactic side of Marvel Comics, then you're just like,
no.
I don't know what's going on.
What's happening?
So this is like a side note. I don't know if it's actually going to have any relevance in the show, but so the war that is happening that we see, the Kree and the Shi'ar, it was a war called Operation Galactic Storm that was in the Avengers comics, and I have no idea if this is going to come back around in season 2, but in case they do go back to space or to the Shi'ar, I'm just letting people know this info in case it does. But when we get to the very end of the season, and you see Forge has that big board of the mutants and their statuses and who's where. So we see Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are on the board, and both of them have a tag that says Off-World.
Off-World, yeah.
And so this is why. So if it's the same as the Avengers comics, then some of the Avengers were involved in this conflict in the Kree-Shi'ar war. So I'm guessing they're off-war, and this is included because this was happening at the same time. So it's just a side note. I don't know if it's going to come back at all in season 2, but...
Well, I mean, why wouldn't it? Because it might be a single episode storyline because Xavier left. He gave up his marriage to come save his X-Men. And she wasn't happy with it, so maybe she comes.
She are going to come back.
But I love that you mentioned Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch because there was so much debate in the comics back in the day. Are they X-Men or are they Avengers? Are they mutants or are they because it's Magneto's kids. So yes, they're mutants. They're X-Men, but they just happen to be fighting for the Avengers instead.
Yes, and that's been a question also on and off in the comics because they've been Magneto's kids and mutants, and then they're just like, just kidding, they're not mutants. They have powers, and then they're mutants again, and then it's like been on and off and on forever. Yeah. so because of rights, and they're in the Avengers more, but they're in the X-Men. They're all over the place. So. And
speaking of Quicksilver, Morph does turn into him in one of these episodes.
Yeah.
Briefly, yeah. So I think it's the second or third last episode.
And the next episode. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as you were talking about, we open up with Xavier. So he's alive. He's across the universe. Like he's not even in the Milky Way galaxy. He's in another galaxy.
Yes.
With Lilandra and her people, and apparently their technology can help heal him because he pretty much got devastated. That's why he left.
Yeah.
And they also gave him cybernetic type robotic legs and a bodysuit that allows him to walk, which he couldn't get here on Earth for some reason.
Yeah, well, he could probably get the legs at some point on Earth, but it was more he was literally dying and they couldn't do anything on Earth for him, so he had to go to the Shi'ar. Yeah. That was his best bet. And then he stayed.
Well, he stayed because they fall in love, and she ends up announcing their marriage here to her entire planet, but her people aren't happy about it. Which, because he's just a Terran, and they don't think very highly of the the Earth people and the Milky Way galaxy.
Nope.
We'll get to that point in a second. Xavier wants to return to Earth and visit his X-Men, but Lalandra's like, no, like, let them go. They're kids. They've left the nest. They're grown up. They can handle themselves. They don't need you anymore. Your life is here with me now. Help lead my people.
Yeah, like she's reminding him that, like, yes, you're a teacher, but a teacher teaches so that eventually their students can walk on their own.
Yes.
And do things on their own. But Xavier is still like, no, I want to go back to Earth. Like, I want to see them.
They're my children.
And they're my children. Yeah, that's his conflict the entire episode here.
Yeah. And then, like I was saying, like her people, the Shi'ar, they see Earth and the Milky Way kind of like the ghetto of the universe.
Yeah.
You know, every city has the ghetto part of their town. That's what they feel the Milky Way is like in there, and it's not worth helping.
Yeah, it's not like just to this thing, but I feel like in a lot of like sci-fi or things with space, like a lot of them are like Earth, they're like, ew, that's like a backwater planet.
Yeah, we're primitive.
It's like always in, and I was like, okay. It's both funny and it's like, okay. I come up with a little more interesting concept, but it's very funny here because Deathbird would call it the ghetto. Yeah. The Milky Way ghetto. So
the Milky Way ghetto.
It's so funny. But yeah, speaking of Deathbird, she shows up to when Lilandra and Xavier are announcing this.
And that's her sister. That's Lilandra's sister.
Yeah. Yes, Lilandra's sister is Deathbird. So Deathbird ends up challenging Xavier to what is called the Rite of Mdasha, which is part of Shi'ar tradition and culture to prove that Xavier is loyal to the Shi'ar fully. And so her challenge to him is to have him erase all of his memories of Earth to prove that he is loyal to the Shi'ar.
Right. And that's a lot to ask. Like,
yes.
You want him to erase his entire life?
Yeah, especially of a telepath.
Yeah, would you do that? If someone asked you to do that, they should turn the question around on themselves. Like that to me was an unfair deal to make. But
they are an empirical culture, so
true, and they're superior to us according to them.
Yes, according to them.
Right. And so because of all that, Civil War almost starts over their marriage. But Xavier, and it's funny bringing up all the teacher stuff. Xavier ends up putting them in this mindscape, which is essentially a classroom in space, to teach them all about the proper way they should be behaving. Like, and I'm rewatching this. I was like, oh my god! Like, this is how powerful Xavier is. He took over the minds of an alien race that are equally powerful, and he took control of their minds and put them all in this mindscape. That's nuts to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's usually described as one of the most powerful telepaths in the comics.
Universe, I guess.
Yeah, universe at this point. I mean, there's other telepathic races and species of aliens in the comics, but
so it's crazy. But it was a funny scene too because they're all sitting in little kid desks and stuff. And, what is this? I had a good
he's
laugh.
like eating an apple up at his desk. Like,
that was pretty funny. So during this classroom, he starts getting visions, and he has this gigantic vision of Gambit that looks like a zombie, and he ends up witnessing Gambit's death in a way, and he realizes my X-Men are in trouble. They need me. And that's when he's just like, I don't care what you guys think or say, I'm going back to Earth. I have to go now.
Yeah. Lilandra's still pleading a little bit, but we almost convinced everyone that you can stay with me and that you're here, but he's like, no, I gotta go. I gotta go. Yep. So it's interesting that he's galaxies away and he still gets feelings that the X-Men are in trouble.
That to me is insane.
Yeah.
Across galaxies. What the heck? Yeah, I think we talked about that too. Like, how did that happen? Because that's some powerful stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a thing throughout the comics. Even if you're not necessarily like a telepath or someone that has mental abilities, they just kind of show, like, if you have strong bonds with another character, like sometimes you do get like feelings or visions, or you have nightmares about specific scenarios. So
right,
I think it's more a character thing than a power thing, that he has this connection to his students, and so he can still have that kind of intuition when they're in danger. And because he's a telepath, it kind of comes out for him in a visually mental kind of a way.
Right. Okay, well, you got some final thoughts on this episode here before we get to episode 7?
Yes, because there's a whole other half of it.
Yeah.
So after all the Xavier in space stuff, we go back to Texas. This is where Forge and Storm are, and so we get the second half of Life Death. So the last Life Death episode ended with the adversary, like, it bit Forge, so he has like this demonic
poison of some kind.
Poison that's like running through him, and he needs healed.
Yeah.
And the adversary is taunting Storm about all of her insecurities and fears and things. So we have them. They're kind of stuck in the comics. They were in their own dimension, like demonic dimension, that the adversary trapped them in. But here, I think it's kind of more like a hallucinatory state because they can't ever seem to leave past a certain point.
Right.
And they're the only two there. It's a bit unclear, but like, so in the comics it was another dimension. But so Forge says that he needs like a special like balm that's made out of this certain cacti that's going to help for his demon poison. And then Forge, we also see that Forge has some magic ability that he has because he uses a spell to get rid of the adversary for a little bit.
Yeah, something passed down by his mom or something, an old spell book.
Yeah, he has some mystic abilities, from his family, from his ancestors.
Yeah.
His mom specifically is what is mentioned here. Right. And that's how he knows about the cacti too, that has like kind of the magical healing properties that he needs to get. So the two of them end up heading to a cavern to find that cactus because it only grows in darkness. So that's where they have to go. And Storm has to face her claustrophobia. So Storm, if people didn't know, she has an intense fear of enclosed spaces and small spaces. She has claustrophobia.
Yes.
And so to get to this cactus, she has to crawl through like a very small like mine shaft to get up to this.
Yep.
And so while this is happening, the adversary comes back and is still, taunting her now that she's weakened again because of the claustrophobia and her fear. It's taunting her, and it eventually gets to the point, though, that Storm realizes what's happening and that she has the power to fight back this the whole time. So she breaks out of that mindset. She fights back. She kind of destroys the adversary, and she gets her powers back in the end, too. So it was the thing that was holding her back.
Because she finds her confidence again.
Yes, she finds that confidence. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she ends up getting her classic 80s black uniform in the process, too.
Yeah, I remember I was making fun of that. Like, she gets her power back and her hair grows out.
Yes, that does happen.
She had this massive mohawk, and she gets these long flowing locks that are like down to her butt, basically. Like,
she kind of has that magical girl transformation.
Yeah.
Sailor Moon-esque.
and there's a cool scene when she flies out of the tunnel and she rips through the sky. She flies down with the horses and she whips up a tornado and gets everything. She's all excited to be feeling like herself again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. I liked it.
And then, very last tag scene at the very end of that episode, we see Trask is running away from Sinister at the very end, and it looks like they're working together.
Yeah. So you're like, what's that all about? What's happening here?
Yes. So they ended with a little sort of cliffhanger, or at least question mark of like, okay.
Question mark, yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving into episode 7 called Bright Eyes. So it opens in a somber note. It's Gambit's funeral.
Yeah.
And Nightcrawler is doing the speaking, and he basically says Gambit would have said this was in the cards. Gambit always believed that you deal with the cards that life dealt you. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nightcrawler had a very nice eulogy for him here.
It was really nice. Yeah, really nice. But Jubilee's upset because Rogue isn't there for the funeral. She's mad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why isn't she here? Of all people, why isn't she here? And Wolverine consoles her like, well, grief is a tough thing to deal with, and people have to go through it in their own ways. And then we switch to Rogue, who's on a vendetta mission to find Trask, who created the Sentinels, and she's headed towards a military base that she thinks knows where Trask is, and she wants answers. And she gets there, and this is Rogue at her peak. Like, she is just beating up robots and tanks and taking, like, nothing's stopping her. And I love, one of my favorite parts of it is we switch to the sergeant inside.
Yeah.
And the soldiers are all scared, like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? He's like, kid, this thing was built to protect against the Hulk. Don't worry about it. And she rips through. She rips right through and grabs him by the throat. I'm like, okay, Rogue is stronger than the Hulk? No, she's just smarter than the Hulk, and she knew how to get in.
Yeah, that was General Ross. So
General Ross, right? Folks
yeah,
we all
Red
know
Hulk.
from the movies. Yeah, exactly, Red Hulk. So I just love that. I mean, because I'm such a Rogue fan, the fact that he's like, this is built to withstand the Hulk, and she busts.
I know, it's funny.
She gets in. It's so awesome.
It's good.
But what a great scene for her, though, to just kick some Sears' butt. To see Rogue angry, it was fun. And she can get angry.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
So, we then go back to Cyclops, who's now arguing with the president because the president won't back the mutants over what happened at Geonosis. It's all being political. He doesn't want to support them, doesn't want anything to do with it. And Cyclops is getting pissed off. In fact, he tells the president off and hangs up on him.
Yeah. Yep. And that was President Kelly. So I know we were talking about, it used to be Senator Kelly and then became the president, but was on the mutant side. But yeah, he's playing politics here. He doesn't want to help too visibly so that he doesn't upset certain voters.
Jeez.
So
yeah,
great.
Yep.
But then we do see that Cyclops and the rest of the team, they do end up heading to the ruins of Genosha so that they can continue to look for survivors and help with the relief work that's happening there. So they can be visible.
Exactly. Because he does say something along the lines like, we have to show all the other mutants that we are here to help, that we're good. Yeah.
And they do find at least one survivor. They find Emma Frost in her diamond form.
In her diamond form. I remember when we were having fun with that. Like, because what did she say? She has a funny line when they pull her out. Something about I'm always tough. Yeah. It was something about.
I can't remember it.
Her diamond
skin.
skin.
I'm always at my best under pressure.
That's what
I think
it was.
What it is. Yeah.
Because pressure creates diamonds. Like, it was just fun. So we go back to Rogue, and she now flies off to look for Gyrich at a secret facility somewhere out in the mountains. I don't know where, but here's a really fun cameo. She lands at the facility, and guess who walks out to meet her? Captain America, which is fun. Like, Captain America and the X-Men, what a cool mix that is. He intervenes to talk her down, and they're having a pretty decent conversation. They're investigating. They're checking out the facility together, but then they start to disagree, and she doesn't like what he has to say, and she's like, "Oh, I forget what her line was. Something, you don't have time for it. Well, I guess you don't need this either." And she grabs his shield, flies upstairs outside again, and just throws it to the mountains like 100 miles away. And I just love that. Like, you don't need this. And bye-bye shield.
Yeah, he was like, my hands are tied. And she was like, oh, if your hands are tied, then you don't need this.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yep.
It's so funny. She threw that thing so far away, like it probably took him a while to find it again.
Oh, yeah, into the mountains. Like, he's
miles away. I love Rogue. So.
Yeah. And
but they do discover some stuff before that happens. They discover some things. Yeah,
it's the first time we see the OZT on different things. So that's the first instance where they don't say it, but it's the first instance where we see the Operation Zero Tolerance. Right. That is the big plan, Bastion's plan.
Zero tolerance for mutants.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a task force, basically, to wipe them out.
Yes.
We get a quick little scene with Beast arguing with Tilby over what happened, because Tilby, the reporter, was the one that Beast was flirting with, and there was a bit of a romance developing there. But after everything that happened at Genosha, Tilby's asking the wrong questions maybe, and he's a little bit sensitive at the moment, and he's like, he's pretty upset with her.
Yeah, same reporter that was doing all the interviews at the X-Mansion.
Yes.
And throughout the entire time, pretty much, but... Yeah, she's kind of doing mutants are going to start, to fight back, and there's going to be riots and things, and Beast is trying to insist, like, that's the natural reaction to something like this, and they're not riots, they're protests, and, like, all the things of that nature. So they're going back and forth of, is this journalistic integrity, or are you on our side, ? He can't quite tell.
Yeah.
And he's on the ruins of Genosha, so he's probably already pretty emotionally charged, too.
Exactly. So it's a tough episode. This one was tough as well because everybody's reeling from the attack in their own way. They're all hurting in different ways. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So we switch back to Rogue, and she does find Gyrich later in this. It's supposed to be a prison, but it's more like a hotel resort that he's staying in. And he's playing with his insect collection, and she grabs him and throws him against the wall and takes off her glove, and she wants to start absorbing his energy. And I can't, you'll have to re-explain to me what happened here because I don't remember. Something happens in her absorption. She gets like a pushback or something, and it knocks her out. And she later wakes up in an alleyway. But what happened? Why absorbing him she get feedback or whatever that was?
Yeah. So she goes into Gyrich's mind, but in Gyrich's mind, Bastion is also there. So it's basically the inner, because you see Bastion's eyes and then you see Nimrod's eyes glow. So Nimrod is is the futuristic robot that we find out, I think, next episode, infects Bastion's dad to why he's part machine. Sentinel, part robot, part machine. So she ends up getting, that presence, and that's like too overwhelming, too powerful for her, and it kind of pushes her out of Gyrich's mind.
Right. So she wakes up in an alley. Well, Nightcrawler actually, because the X-Men team are looking for her, Nightcrawler finds her in this alley and wakes her up. And this, again, another heart-wrenching moment. He's got his arms around her. They start talking, and he's able to get through to her and because she's crying over the loss of Gamma, crying over the loss of Magneto, because at this point we think Magneto's dead. And he's like, Rogue, you're not the reason why they died. You're the reason they lived. And that breaks her, and it allows her to finally let go and to start grieving and to let her emotions out. And she just starts bawling into his arms, and I'm crying again, like, oh my God, like, because Lenore, the way she cries for Rogue, it's so realistic. It just gets to me. It breaks my heart. And Jean shows up, and the rest of the X-Men shows up, and Jean, puts her hand on Rogue's shoulder, and Rogue sees them, and she realizes, there's my family, and she smiles, and it's such a wonderful moment. The music, they got this beautiful Latin Mexican music playing, and it's all beautiful. Yeah,
it's a really good scene.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a really good scene.
It is.
My God, I love it.
Then we switch over to, Sunspot and Jubilee are going after, because they were on Genosha and they had a conversation about, Sunspot's family doesn't know that he's a mutant. And so they have a conversation of like, well, you don't want your family finding out. Like, what if you were here on the island, like, and they found out on the news that you were a mutant because of this? So Jubilee ends up convincing him they're going to go and tell Sunspot's mom that he's a mutant.
Right.
So it turns out that she kind of already knew, but wanted him to tell her on his own. And so she's okay with it, but she doesn't want him to be publicly known as a mutant because they have shareholders that they don't want to upset with all of this. So I was like, bad parenting.
It makes you hate his parents in that moment. Yeah. But right before that, it was funny because they're standing on the outside of the door, and they're discussing how are we going to tell him and whatever. And he just walks in the door. I'm a mutant, and Jubilee's like, we could do it that way.
Like, the direct way.
That way. It really just seeing the way his mom treated him, because something more happens later, which we'll get to. I don't remember if I have in the notes here, but.
Next episode, I think.
Yeah, so it just sucks for Sunspot.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's a quick scene when we go back to Gyrich, and he's kind of recovering from Rogue touching him though too. But he's talking to a mysterious figure, and that mysterious figure ends up killing him. We now know that that's Bastion, but at the time we didn't know.
No, we just got the side of the face kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, we had no idea. And then later after that, the team does find Trask, but he's at the top of a building that's under some construction, and he's about to jump off. He's going to commit suicide because he hates everything that he's done. But Rogue runs over and grabs him, and she's basically hanging him out over the building's ledge there, and she's trying to get some answers from him, and he doesn't give the answers that she wants. And she's like, well, I got nothing for you either. Whoop, and lets him go. And it surprises us that she's willing to just kill a human, and the team behind her is like, Rogue, what are you doing? And nobody can save him because he drops. A shocking moment, right there.
Mm-hmm. I know.
She just killed somebody. But
we think.
She doesn't, because instead of dying, he ends up it awakens the robot in him. He ends up turning into this human sentinel hybrid that we find out they call Prime Sentinels.
Mm-hmm.
And he rises back up to the top of the building. He looks like a zombie machine is what he looks like. You know, those half human, half machine zombies. So they're freaky as hell. And he ends up kicking the entire X-Men's asses big time at the top of the building, and they fall off the building. Everyone's fighting. He's taking them all on. They can't do anything. Until Cable comes through a future time portal yet again with an EMT-like grenade that knocks Gyrich out. And
EMP.
It's like, whoa, what is going on here? Like, everything just got even worse than I thought it could get. It's crazy. Human Sentinels? What?
Yeah, it's an EMP.
An EMP.
Not EMT.
Oh, I said EMT?
Yeah, like that's a medical person.
Yeah, so some ambulance driver came to help him, but
yeah.
EMP.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, like the Trask Prime Sentinel, like, almost wipes out all the X-Men.
Yeah,
this is the point where, Morph turns into Quicksilver, but they get knocked out. Rogue is knocked out and unconscious.
Yeah.
Beast and Wolverine get taken down. Like, it's just Cable. It's Cable coming in.
Cyclops gets his head stepped on in the ground and his visor crushed. Like, there's a lot happening. This is a human-sized Sentinel. They could barely handle regular Sentinels, and yet this Sentinel, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. And then cut from all of that craziness, and we're in shock. Then we cut to a scene of Magneto waking up. And he's getting shaved by somebody. He's all tied up in a chair, but somebody's giving him a shave and a haircut. And you're like, Magneto,
so
what?
I know. I think every episode has ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
For the next.
Yeah. So just so crazy. Like, okay, he's alive. Well, great. How did he survive? What happened? We don't really know how he survived.
I don't think that was ever quite explained how he made it out of there, but he did.
He did. Hello, not in one piece. He's hurt.
No, yeah.
He's hurt. Thus gets us to episode 8, which is the start of the 3-part story arc of the finale.
Yep.
Tolerance is Extinction, Part 1. And this is when we really get introduced to Bastion, who is the leader of the whole thing, of everything that's been happening. Mr. Sinister is working for him. Who's this Bastion guy? What the heck's his deal? Where'd he come from? We learn a lot right off the bat.
Yeah. So Bastion, it starts basically an evolutionary war against mutants. He's, I said it earlier, but Bastion, his real name's Sebastian, but he goes by Bastion. He was born after his father was infected by Nimrod tech. So Nimrod tech is like the very futuristic Sentinel tech.
Right.
And they've fought Nimrod in the original animated series. Like, he comes from the future to the present a bunch. So we probably part of it got left behind at one point. And that happens. And then because of that, he gives birth. Bastion is like an organic machine, more or less.
Yeah.
So he's technically a mutant, but in a different kind of a way.
And he can control machines with his mind.
He can control machines. Yeah, he can hear machines. He can think. He can control them.
Yeah.
So basically, Cable's explaining all of the history of where he comes from. So Bastion starts an evolutionary war against mutants. But Cable tells them that he built a utopia in the future where humans were all upgraded to Prime Sentinels, basically, or they were tech infused, which is effectively not making them human anymore.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because their fight against mutants made everyone lose their humanity, which is the thing they were fighting against. But so we see that and kind of that explanation, and this is like the beginning of where that war starts, was with the Genosha attack.
Right.
And we also see that Val Cooper was revealed to be working with Bastion and Sinister this whole time.
Yeah. Jeez.
So Bastion shows her how he and Sinister have been working together to build the Prime Sentinels and how they're created. They kind of work like sleeper agents, where they know they signed up for this thing, but then they don't know that they've been turned into these machines until something triggers that.
Yeah. And it hasn't quite triggered yet, but it's coming.
Not just for Trask so far.
And this is the scene that we're going to get into next. Like some of the X-Men go to visit Bastion's mom because they want to learn about him. Who is this guy? Where did he come from? What's his history? Why is he like this? And they find out that Xavier and what's his machine? Cerebro. Discovered Bastion as a kid that he's a mutant, and so Xavier goes to visit his mom to say, hey, he's a mutant, let me help him, come join my school, I'll help him. But she is too scared of mutants herself and doesn't believe him, and she shoos him away and wants to try to raise Bastion herself. So.
Yeah. And yeah, Cable, so the Summers are here. Cable, the Cyclops, and Jean are the ones that went here, and they're finding all of his childhood drawings, and then the really creepy painting, basically, of Genosha.
Yeah.
But just a side note before we get to the rest of it, but they said that they were in Harmony, Pittsburgh, which they're in Pennsylvania, so not quite my neck of the woods, but
hey, pretty
I
close,
didn't remember
though.
this detail. Other side of the state, but I didn't remember that detail, so I was like, oh, hey, they're in Pennsylvania. They're in a creepy small town in Pennsylvania.
Bastion's coming to get you.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a Sentinel Prime.
Oh, no, I think I'm good.
So as they're talking to his mom's a little bit crazy. She's lost her rocker a little bit.
Little senile, yeah.
Yeah. But there's this really creepy scene where she turns her head all the way around and she suddenly turns into a Prime Sentinel herself and starts attacking them. And I'm like, oh my God, creepy zombie grandma here. Jeez.
Yes.
And then so they're fighting her in the house, but she's not the only one. Then we start getting all of these cutscenes from all around the world of all these other humans. Like you said, they were triggered and they all start turning into Prime Sentinels. And there's literally thousands of them around the world because we see Beast back at the mansion figuring out how can we detect these guys. And all of a sudden the globe just gets littered with millions of dots.
Yes.
And you're
that
thinking,
includes...
oh my God.
Yeah, that includes Trish Tilby, who's at the mansion with Beast right then.
And the janitors and the butler and the police. And it showed a pair of kids with their mom and dad at the park. And
God,
their parents
both
turned
the
to
parents
Sentinels.
just that was creepy.
What?
Yeah.
It was crazy to see how many there actually were. And it really, it's shocking because you're thinking, how long has Bastion been at work doing this? And nobody knew.
Yeah.
Nobody knew.
Yeah. It's been a while. So at this point, there's a couple different teams happening. So we have the Summers family who are on one team. And then we have Jubilee and Sunspot are still together when this is all happening. And then we have everyone else who's at the mansion. And so Rogue is still unconscious at this point.
Yeah, she's been in bed this whole time.
Yeah, she's basically in a coma right now.
Yeah.
So, but this does lead into some really epic fight scenes that we get. So
because they're fighting the zombies. Yeah, exactly.
They're fighting zombies. So you can actually show Wolverine slicing people and people getting ripped apart and heads taken off and things because they're just knitting themselves back together. And my favorite part is when Nightcrawler gets his swords and we get the awesome scene of him and Wolverine fighting together. And we get that the mid teleport scene where we see Nightcrawler in mid teleport and Wolverine's getting dragged into it. That's super cool.
It is so cool.
And then the Summers are in a car chase in a Porsche.
Oh, that's
At
right.
one point, which is so funny.
One of the jets was crashing, and they jump in the jet. And I remember picking on. I was like, okay, that one moment was when this cartoon was meant for kids. A car
right there.
falls from the sky, and it lands perfectly in a Grand Canyon alley or whatever.
Oh yeah, it would have been destroyed. They would have all been dead.
And they drive away.
It's a cartoon.
Yeah, so I was like, okay. But still, it was still fun though. This big chase.
It's so cool.
So there's a lot happening here. But it's a hopeless fight. There's so many Sentinels, and we already saw how strong they were, and now there's thousands of them. The fight is hopeless. They can't stop these things. Like you said, that you can rip them apart, and they just put themselves back together again. But then we see Magneto is freed by what's her name, Val Cooper.
Yep.
Frees Magneto, and he's like, Magneto returns, and he flies up to the above the Earth. And he emits this massive Omega level EMP, not EMT, an Omega level EMP that encompasses the entire world and wipes out all of the Prime Sentinels. And if you didn't realize how strong Magneto was, when you see him pull off something like that, it's insane.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone was expecting that to happen either. But at the same time, you're like, how do they take care of all these Prime Sentinels? Because we see nothing else working.
You can't. There's too many of them. Yeah, they are taking over the world. So that really does it. And then we see Xavier return to Earth. His ship crash lands right at X-Men Mansion, and you know, was it Wolverine that greets him at the door at the crash site?
Yeah, Wolverine. Morpher there, I think.
Right. So we get a little clip of that, and then we see Sunspot during the fight unlocks his full powers. He finally turns, because up until this point, he was only able to turn his arm into the sun radiation.
Full Sunspot mode.
He goes full Sunspot. His entire body finally converts, which is kind of cool.
And he can fly, and Jubilee's annoyed that everyone but her can fly. But yeah, he and Jubilee end up getting captured, because here's where we were coming back to the even more bad parenting. His mom, because they crash land into the gallows that his mom was throwing, and his mom, he goes to her for help. He's like, hey, these killer robots are after us. And she tells them to stand down and listen to them, and go peacefully with them, so as to not make a scene at this gala. And it's like, that's your son. She's
more worried about her reputation than saving her son. So she basically turns them in. That's just on so many levels. There's so much emotion that just is punches in the gut, basically. Like, it's crazy. But we find out at the very end of the episode, here's, like you said, everything ends in a little bit of a cliffhanger. We find out that this massive EMP was so powerful that it disrupted Earth's magnetic field, and now there's only 12 hours before the world dies. What? Not just people, not just robots, not just the world the planet is dying. How about that?
Yeah, it's like he messed so much with the electromagnetic fields of the entire Earth that basically go back to the Dark Ages, and like nothing would work.
No, yeah. That's crazy. So that's where episode 8 ends, part 1. We lean into episode 9, Tolerance is Extinction, part 2, and the stuff just keeps on happening.
It does, yeah. We start with kind of a quick montage of stuff going on. So we see that all of the Prime Sentinels are basically at a standstill because of the EMP. But Bastion is taking care of his mom, and he still cares about her. You see that happening. We see Magneto starting to raise asteroid M out of the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
Xavier finds his old, yellow iconic hover chair that he gets to use later. And then we see Storm and Ford show up to help rescue Jubilee and Sunspot from the big angry mob of Friends of Humanity members.
Yeah, they get cornered in an alleyway, and they don't want to use their powers to hurt the people. So yeah, so that scene with Bastion caring about his mom, that was really creepy, because she's a Sentinel, she's a robot, and he's carrying her in his arms, and he's like cuddling her and kissing her, and Mama, I'll take care of you. And I'm like,
it's like
your mom's
Psycho.
a dead zombie old lady right now. That's disgusting. Yeah, it's
like Psycho.
It's like Psycho. Yeah, it's psychotic. It's nuts. So then Xavier wakes up. He's in his new chair, and he gathers all the X-Men, and Cyclops is really upset with him, and he's blaming him for everything. He's like, all I wanted was a life with Jean, and because of you, I was forced to stay here. And like, he's mad at Xavier, blaming him for everything. But there's a lot of blame going around everywhere, because basically the X-Men just got their butts whooped, and everybody's blaming everybody for what just happened. There's a lot of everyone's on edge, basically.
Yes, everyone is on edge, but we do finally get everyone reunited again after all the different team members have been a bit scattered and split up throughout the season. So everyone is finally back at the mansion together.
Finally, the entire team, plus a few new members. Yeah, it's true. And they formulate a plan to stop Bastion, but before that can happen, Magneto shows up with his asteroid base. Like you said, he was lifting out of the water. He shows up with his asteroid base, and he makes an offer. I have a better way of life for my mutants. Screw the humans, screw the world. come live with me on my asteroid and just forget about everything here. And Rogue and Sunspot end up accepting his offer and join him. Jubilee doesn't like it. The team doesn't like it. They're like, what are you guys doing? But
Yeah.
they can't stop him. And 3 of them fly off to the asteroid.
Yeah, after all of kind of the trauma he's gone through in the past bit since Genosha, it's kind of pushed him back into his old ways where he's just like, see, everything I said was right. They're always going to keep coming after us. They're always going to keep hating us. Yeah. So let's just go off to an asteroid and not care about the rest of the world.
And, you know, you can't really argue with him. A lot of the things he said is right. It came true. And he was right all along about a lot of it, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
So the team, you know, readjusts their plan and they decide to split up. Half of the team goes to the Galapagos Islands, which is where they think Bastion is, where his home base is. And the other half go fly to space to stop Magneto on his asteroid.
Yes. But they all had to change their wardrobes first. It was very important.
Well, most of them were torn up and beat up, so they needed new clothes.
I know. It's just funny.
Yeah. But what's great is because they go put on their old uniforms from way back in the day. Yeah. Very iconic, the original outfits. Some of them are ugly. Some of them are, like, I prefer Wolverine's orange and brown to his blue and yellow.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
So it looked way better. Yeah, so it was just fun to see. And Cable has that moment. He's like, what was that moment? Cyclops hands Cable a pair of yellow and blue. And he's like, what is this, 80s fashion show or something? And Cyclops is like, what did you expect, black leather?
Yeah, I know. It's a dig at the movies. It still makes me laugh.
Still makes me laugh. So we got the 2 scenarios, and epic battles ensue. Like, I'm talking wow moments. Let's break it down. We got Storm and Forge in the sky facing like 15 Sentinels. Storm's whipping around using lightning and tornadoes. Forge is in the jet using laser beams and cannons and stuff, and they're fighting like crazy. But they get distracted because he gets hit, and Storm gets worried about him, and then she gets hit, and he goes down, crashes in the ship. She goes down, falls into the water, and we're thinking, did they just kill Forge and Storm in one fell swoop? What the hell's happening here?
Yeah.
Because she got blasted point blank by the Sentinels.
Yeah. It's kind of what starts happening. It feels like it's just dominoes. They all start going down after this.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so then the next group, we got Cable, Jean, Beast, and Morph fighting against Sinister and some Sentinels. And, I mean, there's some cool moments here. And here's one of those other cool power-up moments. Morph turns into the Hulk again. And with Jean's help, he jumps into the air and starts spinning like a top with his arms outstretched. And Jean sends him flying at one of the Sentinels with this super spinning punch, knocking off one of the Sentinels' heads, and that head goes flying clear across the island. And I just thought, man, whoa, that was a cool move. Real fun. And then Jean gets singled out against Sinister. It's 1-on-1. And the fight's going back and forth, back and forth. She's kicking his butt. He's kicking her butt. He gets basically the upper hand in the fight, and he throws her through the wall into a bowling alley. And when he comes in to get her, this is, again, one of my other favorite moments. She's sitting there on her butt, and there's bowling balls all around her, and she psychically grabs them and just starts throwing them at him. Hundreds of bowling balls, and they're hitting him square in the face. You actually see one of them go straight between the eyes, like at 100 miles an hour. And I'm just thinking, how can he possibly survive a bowling ball to the face at that speed? It was insane. Like, and then she's throwing the vending machine and the chair. Like, she threw everything at him, and just, again, I was like, wow, that was cool.
Yes. Yeah. But like I said, I like a lot of the like more non-orthodox uses of the powers and the fun, like, creative mixes.
Yeah.
You get a lot of that in these final couple episodes.
Yeah. And then this one scene I forgot to put. I'm glad you put it in here.
Yeah. Yeah. We also have Sinister ends up controlling Cable, and it looks like because that's all Sinister still wanted. He was still after Cable
the whole time.
And it looks like because he's unleashing his telekinesis against her, which he usually holds back because he still does have the techno-organic virus running through his body even in the future. Right. That's why he doesn't use it a lot, because he's using his telekinesis most of the time to hold it at bay in his body so it doesn't spread.
Right.
But it looks like Sinister's controlling him, so he's just letting loose, and it looks like he takes out Jean.
Well, and what's really interesting there is he's like, you forget who my mom is. My mom is also the universe's most powerful entity.
Telekinetic.
So he's blasting her, and it was a very, very anime style scene too. When you saw
it was very anime
blasting her, and during that attack, Jean calls out to Cyclops on the asteroid, and she's like, Scott, and he witnesses her going down. So now he's like, damn it, I'm stuck on the asteroid dealing with Magneto, and my wife is dead. Like, what's happening? And oh my god, like the intensity of these scenes is off the charts.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next group. Like I just mentioned, Cyclops, Wolverine, Xavier, and Jubilee are on the asteroid, and they have to fight Rogue and Sunspot and Magneto while they're up there. And Jubilee is going against Sunspot, and both of them aren't really wanting to hit each other very hard, so they're just sort of lightly dueling. Wolverine goes hard against Magneto, though, and Xavier instructs him to get his helmet off. So Wolverine's fighting Magneto and trying to pull off the helmet, and Xavier's blasting, and Cyclops is blasting him, and all the stuff is happening, and Magneto does this magnetic explosion to get Wolverine off of him, but as he does that, Wolverine's got his claws dug into the helmet, and he rips the helmet off, and that allows Xavier to get a hold of him, so Xavier, for a moment is able to ground him and control him for a moment there. But while he's grabbing him, Cyclops blasts Xavier and breaks the connection, and you're thinking, what is Cyclops doing? Like, you just defeated Magneto, you had him. Why would you interrupt that? And he says the ground team isn't done yet. He's basically protecting Jean. Like, he's just saw what happened to Jean, he just saw what happened to Cable, and he's basically, his emotions have taken over, and he wants, because what was their mission? Whatever it was they were doing on the asteroid couldn't be done until the ground team finished their mission.
Right, because they're trying to get Magneto to turn the power back on of Earth, essentially.
Yeah.
But they were trying to get...
they have to stop Bastion first.
They have to stop Bastion so that they sever his connection with the Prime Sentinels.
Right.
So that when the power turns back on, he can't control them. So the Prime Sentinels all don't get turned back on either.
Right. So, but because Cyclops blasts Xavier, that allows Magneto to be free again, and he then uses his magnetic powers, and he traps Xavier by throwing his own helmet on Xavier, because Magneto's helmet is designed to protect against mental attacks. So if you throw it on Xavier's head, he can't project any mental abilities at all. So now the fight is totally turned around, and you're thinking, great, we just lost the fight. And then out of nowhere, you see 3 adamantium claws come poking out Magneto's chest. Wolverine runs him through from behind with his claws, and you think Magneto's dead. He's bleeding, blood's gurgling out of his mouth, his eyes are popping out of his head, he's like, ah! And then he gains control of himself, and he says something along the lines of, finally this... What does he say? Finally,
this feud can end.
This feud can end. And he grabs a hold of Wolverine, because Wolverine's bones are laced with adamantium, which is a metal, and he rips out all of the adamantium from his bones. He basically just sucks it out through his skin, ripping Wolverine to shreds in the process, and you're just, holy crap.
Yeah, did you remember any of this happening, or was it like you were watching this for the first time?
No, I remember it, but it's still shocking to see it.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode. It ends with that frame of Wolverine being ripped apart.
It's recreating a very famous comic panel there.
Bloody and oh my god. So you just, did Storm die? Did Forge die? Is Wolverine now dead? Like, what is going on here? They're just clean slating the X-Men, wiping them all out. It's intense. It's so intense.
And that's what leads us into the final episode. So,
final episode.
Tolerance is Extinction Part 3.
Episode 10. So, we get a nice opening, though. Like, after all of that nuttiness, and we wait a week. We get this nice opening. It's Xavier and Magneto way back during the war. When they first met, they're both young, and they're in a bar, and they're discussing mutants, and they're becoming friends, and my science and your science, we could work together, it would be great, yeah. And it's so nice. And it's something that we never really got to witness, is their time together when they were friends. So I thought that was really
not
cool.
too much.
Yeah. But it's a mental trick. Xavier is inside his Magneto's mind, trying to trick him so that he could take over his brain or get him to reverse the Earth's magnetic field, all this kind of stuff. And he has to do this serious, deep mind probe to be able to fully take over his mind and reverse the destruction on Earth because Magneto refuses to do it.
Yeah, it's a pretty intense scene between the two of them, and fighting for control of the mental control, basically,
of his own mind. Yeah, it's crazy. And so he ends up doing it like that. Like in this scene, it's insane because Xavier's like, enough is enough, and he grabs Magneto, and they end up levitating up in the sky because his power is so huge. And he ends up, you visually see this mental blast of energy from Xavier's forehead just drill into Magneto, and it basically knocks the both of them out. But it does do the job. You see the Earth's magnetic field get restored, and everything goes back to normal. All the power comes on, all the lights come on, everything's good again. But it also revives all the Prime Sentinels because the ground team didn't succeed in their mission. So all the Sentinels wake up again, and Bastion gains full control over them, and he's able to momentarily take over again. And he's got Storm wrapped up in a Sentinel. He's got Jean wrapped up in a Sentinel. He's got Forge wrapped up in a Sentinel. They're all trapped. It's not
Beast,
good.
not Jean.
Or Beast. Yeah, sorry, Jean's not there. Beast, Storm, and Forge. Yeah. So it's not good. Until we hear some rumbling. Until we hear a shriek, a very familiar shriek. And exploding out of the waterfall, beautiful lake, wherever it is they are in the wilderness, Jean erupts into the Phoenix. And she's there, and Storm's like, yay! She's all happy. And the Phoenix basically because she's the strongest psychic entity in the universe, she rebuilds the headband that Beast made that they were trying to get onto Bastion's head that would disrupt his powers and break the connection to the Sentinels. She rebuilds it, she gets it on Bastion's head, it reverses the tech on all the Prime Sentinels, it makes it, a lot of them turn to human again, or they all fall unconscious, whatever. She reverses everything, and it's just in this big epic moment of the Phoenix and how powerful she can be and why nothing can really stand in the way of Phoenix. And it's an awesome moment.
It is a cool moment. It's a little like Deus Ex Machina-esque, where it's like she hasn't been the Phoenix the entire season, and she's like, well, the Phoenix was here, but the Phoenix is gone now, but it did the job. But I know they've been talking about the Phoenix the entire season and referring back to it, but it's a little safe of a, how do we get out of this? Phoenix. But it's still a cool scene.
Yeah, but it's there. It's not like a plot device where it came out of nowhere. It's always
not completely.
Been there. So,
yeah.
So it was pretty cool. But that's not all she does. She also grabs Sinister, and I love this part.
Yes.
She grabs Sinister and drains all of the mutant DNA out of his body that he stole, because he's been stealing mutants and evolving himself by infusing their blood and their DNA and everything into his body to make himself live forever and have all the powers, all that. She drains him of all of that, basically reverting him to this withered little old man. And he's like, I need to see my reflection. And Morph turns into him, shows him what he looks like. And he's like, this is what you always look like to me. and they're like, wow, well, that's into Sinister right there, too.
Yep.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Is that what happened in the comic books to Sinister? Is that what she did to him?
No. As far as I know,
I don't
that
remember
was just something for the show.
Okay. It was so fun.
Yeah. I mean, Sinister's died and put himself back together a bunch of times, and he has clones of himself everywhere as, backups.
Okay.
But as far as I know, I never saw that happen and get kind of drained of everything.
Well, while that is happening, they forgot about Bastion for a moment there. They figured he's defeated. Well, he sort of recovers, and Cable's laying on the ground, pretty beat up. And he attacks Cable, and he grabs his one cybernetic arm and rips it off, and then he beats him with it.
Yeah.
Beats him with it, and then he uses the future tech, because it is future tech, and he upgrades himself because he can control machines. And now that he's got a hold of future tech, he upgrades himself and becomes infinitely more powerful than he already was. And that's a scary moment.
Yeah. I mean, he's basically evolving himself.
Yeah. And like he grows wings, and everything's made out of metal. I mean, they did a really good job designing him. He looked really cool.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps getting further and further away from his humanity, like in terms of visuals too. So
yeah, he kind of looked like something like Dark Angel crossed with Iron Man here.
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah, right. So that's happening, and we go back to the asteroid. Magneto is shattered in his mind. His mind is completely shattered, and Xavier's in there trying to get to him, trying to repair the damage, and they're inside Magneto's head, and they're in a bar again, and the world's filling up with water, and he sees his 3 kids out on a boat, and they're calling to him, and his mind is messed up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's even hard to describe, but it's crazy.
It is, but yeah.
So that's going on there. Go back to Bastion. He flies up to the asteroid, and he wants to send it to Earth, causing the gravity core to explode and kill everybody. And now the fight's happening on the asteroid, and the X-Men are like, we can't let this happen. We can't let him get to the gravity core. Rogue flies in to attack him, and she comes in at Mach 1 speeds and lays in this like supersonic punch and basically just folds his face in half. It was a pretty cool animation. And she beats him up pretty good. Like, she's relentless. She knocks him out of the asteroid. They land on the moon, I guess that was, or something. They landed somewhere.
Yeah, they're on the moon. Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're on the moon.
Blue area of the moon.
The blue area of the moon where she could breathe. So she's beating him up pretty good. She does this Hulk move where she claps her hands right at his face, and it basically disintegrates his face as he goes flying backwards. It's crazy what she's doing to him. Like you said, the creativity of these moves. But she lets up for a second, and that gets him the advantage. He teleports behind her. We didn't know he could do that, but he teleports behind her and grabs her by the throat and lifts her up to the sky. And in that moment, the first time I watched this, I was worried sick. I thought, you killed Gambit? Are you killing Rogue in this moment? I will hate this show forever if you kill my Rogue. Because she was almost dead until Sunspot arrives, fully powered, and blasts him out of the sky. And I was shaking right there. Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot, Abby. That's a lot.
It is, and there's still more. But
you take over now for a bit.
For you, I know. So after that, we go back inside of Magneto's head. Xavier is still in there trying to get him to kind of break out of his fractured memories, remember who he was, so they can fight back to consciousness, because at this point both of them are unconscious because of Xavier taking over to turn the power back on.
Right.
And then at this point also everyone that was on the ground team, so Beast Forge, Storm, Jean, the rest of them, they now make it up to Asteroid M, so everyone is there now for the final fight. And so I think it's an interesting move, but they do, so Cyclops stops everyone, and they try one last time to appeal to Bastion's humanity. So, telling them that he's more like them than the rest of, the humans, and trying to say, like, your mom made a mistake. I know how hard it is to be a parent. Like, you could have been with her, or you could have been with us at this point because Xavier came there. But, at this point, talking doesn't exactly work with Bastion. Like, he's still not going for it. He's still be like, nope, extinction is still what I'm going after right now.
Yeah, because he says, you're trying to appeal to my humanity? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows Cyclops kind of, kind of trying to learn what Xavier taught him. But before that happens, though, there's a moment, like Cyclops has a moment too when he's fighting him on the asteroid. He unlocks his visor and blasts him full blast. He says, "You will never go after my family again," and gives it everything he's got. Like there were some epic moments in these battles that you're speechless. You're not blinking. It's crazy how epic these fights were. But what ends up happening is they're busy fighting and all this is going on. And there's this thing called the Magneto Protocol, and humans had a whole bunch of nuclear warheads ready for exactly an event like this, and they send all of them up to the asteroid to blow it out of the sky and blow out Magneto, blow out the mutants. They don't care. They want to stop this. And it works. It hits the asteroid blows up in a bunch of pieces, and the gravity core collapses, and the asteroid starts falling to Earth. It's basically a possible extinction level event like the meteor that killed the dinosaurs, because this thing is massive and it's reaching terminal velocity as it's falling. And the gravity core that collapses creates a little black hole of some kind, and Bastion gets sucked into this void created by the gravity core, and it's like just when you think enough has happened, they draw the line farther. More is going to happen. No, you think that's
they
bad?
have another problem.
Here comes some more, Bastion. Oh, you think that was bad? No, wait, we got this for you. So it's just crazy. And the team is trying to stop the asteroid from falling to the Earth. Rogue is out there, Jean is out there, Storm is out there, and they are not powerful enough to stop the weight of this thing from falling. And it's crazy. Magneto finally wakes up and finally remembers who, because the whole time that Xavier's in his head, Magneto didn't even remember who he was.
Yeah, he was like lost. His memories were fractured. Like he was basically lost in his head.
It was crazy, but he finally wakes up and realizes, I am Magneto, and he envelops the asteroid in his magnetic power, and he pulls it back to space.
Yeah,
just crazy.
I know. And like in the meantime, before that happens, like there's some more like crazy power combos happening.
Yeah.
Because like Jean is using her telekinetic power to try to push against the asteroid, but she's also combining it with Storm, because Storm has a bunch of winds circulating around it, trying to like push that further back. And then Rogue is just straight up with her strength pushing up against the asteroid as well. And then Cyclops, meanwhile, is trying to blast the asteroid apart to potentially get into smaller pieces, so it's not just a giant meteor. Like it's pretty cool, like how they're all. I mean, it doesn't
Beast
seem
is
like
at the controls trying to reverse
Beast
the
is at
jets.
the controls trying to do all of that.
Yeah.
So like everyone's doing something.
Yeah.
And I mean, meanwhile, at this point, Jubilee got sucked out at some point, and Sunspot went after her, so they're on the ground at this point. They are not up with everybody else.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. He catches her. Yeah. It's crazy. Like you said, this mix of powers is really cool, but there's so much going on. Again, you're just sitting there not blinking at your TV screen because it's overwhelming what's happening in this show. Like they just keep amping it up. All that power that's happening, everything you just described, it opens a time rift of some kind. And they all get sent through time to different periods. Everybody that's on the asteroid, whoop, they get sucked in, poof, everything blinks out in a flash of blue and yellow sparkles. And they're gone. And I'm only calling it a power mix. I don't really know what happened. I just thought that the anti-gravity core mixed with Magneto's powers, mixed with Jean's powers, mixed with the wind, mixed with everything that was happening was just too much for the universe to keep it all together.
Yeah. So I know you're saying that now, but and I don't think we're meant to know exactly what happened. But do you think it was something else that, like how when Bishop came back, he said something or someone yanked them through time?
I mean, he says it, so maybe there's something that he knows, right? Does he know something?
He could. I think he could. I think we're not meant to know yet. I think that's a question going into season 2 of like what did specifically happen? Like why are they scattered through time?
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be an answer at some point we get in season 2.
Yeah, it could be. So it'll be interesting to find out. But where we end up going, Cyclops and Jean, just the two of them, go 3,000 years into the future, and it looks like they're on Earth still, but it's all just...
Yes, it is.
It's post-apocalyptic looking. And they meet a young Cable, a teenage 20-something-year-old Cable comes out of a tent.
Yeah, like young teenager. Yeah. I think he's like 10 to 12, somewhere in there.
And he's like the leader of this group of people that are there.
Yeah, they are with Clan Ascani.
Clan
I think
Ascani.
I asked you... I think I asked you this last season, but the main older woman that they were talking to, her name is Mother Ascani. Do you know who that is?
You told me last season. I don't remember.
Okay, so that is Rachel Summers. So that is
what?
Yes. So Rachel Summers is the daughter of Cyclops and Jean Grey, from a different timeline, a different like Earth timeline.
Okay.
So she's from the Days of Future Past timeline in the comics. I'm not positive in this animated world what timeline that might be.
Right.
But so I wonder, it's another kid. She's basically Cable's sister too.
But she's much older.
From a different
she's an
time.
old lady here.
In this, in this timeline. But she's
wow.
one of the time displays that gets thrown to the present. So she's usually on the team in the present, and she's like young 20s, early 20s kind of age.
Okay.
So she does exist in the present day as well. But so I wonder if they're going to dive into that at all, or if she's just going to be Mother Ascani and not Rachel at all.
That's interesting because she didn't recognize Scott or Jean here. She's like, "Who are you?
No.
What are you doing here?"
Yeah, I'm not sure if she would in this timeline.
Yeah. Okay.
Necessarily.
Cable
because there's
reckoned
like
who they were.
bajillion. There's like a lot of timey-wimey stuff that happens.
We like that here on Tomorrow's Legends.
Yes. I'm just interested if they're going to call her Rachel Summers at all,
Okay.
or if she's just going to be Mother Ascani the entire time.
Yeah. Well, the opposite happened to Rogue, Nightcrawler, Magneto, Beast, and Xavier. They go 3,000 years backwards to the past, and they meet a young Apocalypse, and you're just like, whoa. Like, you don't recognize him until he pulls the mask off his face to see that interesting mouth markings that he has, but you're just like, oh my god, that's Apocalypse before he becomes Apocalypse.
Yep, they are in ancient Egypt with, and Saba Noor is his name.
Saba Noor, yeah.
So, and you see in the distance like the very futuristic kind of dome out in there. So I wonder if we're gonna have to deal with Ramatut 2 as well.
Who's
so
Ramatut 2?
Well, 2 as in TOO, not
as
2
in
as in
well,
the numbers.
as well,
So
okay.
yes, as well.
Ramatut as well, okay.
But like Ramatut is an actual historical pharaoh in ancient Egypt, but in the Marvel comics, Ramatut is Kang the Conqueror.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. So, but who's there because of Apocalypse's power and wanting to be in that time spot. So that would get really complicated if they go into it, but they might.
It might be one episode. With how fast they deal with things, right? Like
we'll see.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. We'll see, but just bringing that up.
that's crazy. Like I wonder if we'll get on Saba Noor's history. Like, is he like the original mutant from back in the day? He's the first, right?
Yes, he is technically the first. That's kind of been one of his
storylines,
nomenclatures. Yeah, throughout that he's the first mutant.
Yeah.
So I assume we'll get a lot more historical aspects since they're in ancient Egypt with him.
Yeah, I am so looking forward to that. It's so fascinating. Even just the ancient Egypt stuff, which I loved on Legends of Tomorrow when they were dealing with that. I don't care anything to do with ancient Egypt. Like, it's so mystical and fantastical. There's so much that we just don't know about from that time period. Even realistically speaking, how the hell they built the pyramids. I'm just fascinated by all of that. So that'll be very cool.
And I don't know if do we see Storm? I can't remember. I just watched it and I can't remember. But I don't think we saw Wolverine or Morph where they went.
No, well, I don't know where they were, like when they were, but we do see Wolverine on a table. There's a scene where he's on the table and someone says he's breathing, he's alive, he's okay.
Right, but like in the time. In
the time period, I
don't know if
they were on the No, where were they? No, they were.
They were in the asteroid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did they get sucked somewhere else? You're right.
I don't know if they weren't drawn into the scenes, if they might just be also in ancient Egypt, or if they got thrown somewhere else too.
Or they're just still on the asteroid back on normal time.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not sure.
Huh.
And then, of course, we do have the quick mid-credits teaser with Apocalypse in the present day on the ruins of Genosha.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You didn't watch for the mid-credit scene in the Marvel thing?
I forgot. It was like 1:30 in the morning when I was watching it.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
But he's on the ruins of Genosha. He is kneeling over the big crater where Gambit died, and he's holding in his hand one of Gambit's charred playing cards, and he's talking about death. But it's the big scary Apocalypse in the modern day.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Doesn't it? Because Apocalypse is the one who turns Angel into Death Angel way back when.
Archangel, yes.
Archangel, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of rumors that Gambit's going to come back as one of the Horsemen.
Yeah, I was reading that too. So, and that's the end of the season.
That is it.
Right there. So, holy crap, Abby, that took us almost 2.5 hours to recap season 1.
A lot happened. Like we said, there was so much happening.
Considering we did like 2 to 3 hours per episode when we first
That's
covered
true.
it, we did all 10 episodes in 2 hours. I'm pretty proud of us.
Yeah, because we just did plot. We didn't have to go into any deep dives.
Oh, no, exactly. Well, I know you've got a few more things you want to talk about, so let's just do a little one of these things.
What's wrong, Cher?
You know what happens when I touch somebody. You want to end up in the hospital?
Maybe it's worth it, no?
Ugh.
It's worth it for me. All right, we haven't played any clips all episode. Maybe I should.
know.
But what do you got for us at the end? How are you going to wrap this up?
Yeah, just kind of a quick recap tag of what we're probably going to expect, just very briefly moving into season 2.
Oh, before we even break down the trailer. Okay.
Yeah, this is just a really quick overview of what we just watched, what's probably going to get pulled into season 2 through line stuff.
Okay.
So we're not diving into the trailer or anything yet. But how it just ended, the X-Men are scattered across time, so they're in the past, present, and future. So I assume one of the big storylines is seeing what all of them are dealing with in their timeline, and also how to get them back to the present. A bunch of people were turned into Prime Sentinels, and so B said that they could restore their humanity, but not remove the tech yet. So I'm interested if that's going to be any kind of, pulled into season 2. So we may still see the fallout of having people partially turned into robots.
Yeah.
Apocalypse is obviously going to be a big bad. And they're going to be fighting him across all of the times, it seems. So that should be really interesting to see, what's going to affect what and change, I assume, because it's time travel storylines.
Well, you have to think, they just introduced Bastion. This was a pretty, and Sinister, this was a pretty big bad. Where do you go from there? How do you one up that? It's got to be Apocalypse. It's got to be the Brood. It's got to be somebody that is pretty, intensely larger than what we just saw.
Yeah, Apocalypse would fit that bill.
Yeah.
I can only assume there's going to be more fallout from what happened with Genosha.
Yeah.
That's got to be a through line. It's so big.
Yeah.
They barely scratched the surface because they had to go fight Bastion. So.
Yeah, exactly. They're still dealing with it. So.
Yeah, and both on an interpersonal level. So things like with Rogue losing Gambit, that's obviously going to be an emotional arc that's still with her, and feeling all of that. But also politically at large in the world in the present day, how does that affect the human-mutant relations still going forward? What is that going to mean for the displaced ones and the people that lost, family and mutants there? I assume that's going to be a lot of stuff that's going on. Right. Wolverine got his adamantium ripped out. So
yeah, he's no longer invulnerable. He's not tough anymore.
Yeah. He's still got his healing, but he doesn't have the metal.
Yeah.
So I do think he's gonna get it back, but not sure.
He's going through that crazy surgery again, that life-ending surgery, pretty much.
Yeah, we'll see. There is a shot in the trailer with him with the metal again, so it's a little spoilery, but they wanted it in the trailer, I assume, because it's very iconic.
Yeah.
Of a scene, but I don't know how he's gonna get it. Is the question. And then also, will they form a new present-day X-Men team, or is it just going to be the other mutant teams filling in for the X-Men? So, we know X-Factor is going to be around, but are there going to be other teams, or is Forge going to put together the new X-Men? I'm interested to see if we're going to get new characters that have not been shown in the trailer, because that's what I would like to see.
Well, like all those ones we saw on the wall that you mentioned, plus, I think they have to. There's going to be more cameos.
I assume so too.
The popularity of the show, they're going to bring a lot of people in. But, we'll speculate more when we break down the trailer, but a question I have for you right now is, do you think they would deal with a lot of this, or would they be 3 years later, and it's all fixed, everything's back to normal, and we're just continuing on? Do you think they would do something like that?
I hope they deal with it, because I'd be really annoyed if they just did
a time jump.
they're going to be at different time periods, but I would be annoyed if they did a present day time jump.
Yeah.
That was really far. I think it's already been a couple months, since the X-Men disappeared technically in the present day timeline.
It sounds like
I don't want to a couple years. No.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope they deal with all the fallout of what they set up in season 1. I hate when shows just ignore all of it.
Yep, they just time jump for the sake of it. Oh, no, guess what? Starting fresh this season. So yeah, that's basically the end of the show. There's no extra stuff we can really talk about, no news coming forward, no extra bonus scenes. But what we can bring to you is some favorite moments. Let's talk about, after rewatching all of season 1, we got to have had some favorite moments out of the season. So let's get into favorite scenes.
You look nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Yeah, okay. So come on, like season 1, 10 episodes. You had to have some moments that you were just like, oh, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably pick a bunch, but I know one of my favorites I've already mentioned when it happened, but Magneto's speech from the end of episode 2, when he brings the council up to the atmosphere, like, it's so good. It's like, every time I watch it gives me chills. I just love it so much. It's one of my favorites for the whole season.
Yeah, for sure.
Rogue and Nightcrawler sharing their sibling moments, especially when they have that moment in Mexico when she just breaks down with him.
Yeah.
All of Storm and Jean's sisterly moments, I brought that up before.
Yep.
Nightcrawler sword fighting, perfect, great.
Of course, yeah.
And then, like, just overall, like I've mentioned already, but the cool power combos and the less orthodox uses of the powers throughout the season, I think it's just really cool to see that showcased, and what the writers and animators come up with for that. It's really cool.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many cool things. Yeah. I mean, we could probably each pick 10 moments easily. So there's just too many. So I'll just add to it. Like, I love when Rogue attacked that military base when she's pissed off. Like, I just love showing, because not everybody's a Rogue fan like I am, but I just love that they highlighted what she can do. She's a force to reckon with on her own, for sure. All the epic battles that we got in those last 3 episodes, there were so many edge of your seat moments in that final 3-story arc. It just blew me away what we were watching. It was just incredible. Jean turning into the Phoenix as an example, all that stuff. But for me, the love story between Rogue and Gambit, that just grabbed my heart and did not let go. It squeezed the hell out of my heart this entire season. That's really my favorite stuff, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It is.
I hope everybody enjoyed our recap of season 1. I hope that, maybe you guys didn't fit in watching all 10 episodes. You still got plenty of time. There's still a couple weeks to go. So, or you could just trust us and maybe this helped refresh your memories on all that happened. You never know. But if you would like to send in some feedback, because we want to start hearing your thoughts. We'll share with you in a moment what we want to go into for our next couple episodes. But as season 2 gets closer, you guys, by all means, send us in feedback. Let us know what you thought of season 1. Let us know what you're looking forward to in season 2. Let us know what your predictions are, what you think's going to happen, all that stuff. Send us some feedback. Here's how you do that.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to Tomorrow's Legends Podcast at gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
So, like I was saying, we're going to try to squeeze in 2 more episodes before season 2 begins. So we're going to basically take on the comics. There's a new 5-issue comic series coming out that's bridging season 1 and season 2. But they're not all going to come out. Abby will explain that in a second. Yep. We've got issue 1 already. I've got it here in my hands. It's already out, and I think issue 2 comes out. I'm not sure when. Abby will let us know.
I have that too, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to get into the comic to let you know kind of what stories they're telling to bridge the gap. And then after that, we're going to break down the season 2 trailer. And by that time, we should be right up to season 2 beginning July 1st. So those are the next 2 episodes what we're looking at.
Yeah. So with the season 2 prelude comics, they aren't all coming out before season 2. Yeah. I thought potentially that they were going to be a week, just a one every week leading up until drop.
Right.
But so we got the first issue that was released on June 3rd, but the next issue doesn't drop until July 8th, which will be after the first couple episodes have been released for season 2.
Huh.
Yeah, because the show premieres on July 1st.
Yeah.
So, and then the third issue of it doesn't come out until August, and there's going to be 5 issues of this. So it looks like potentially it may be more of a tie into the season itself more than we thought, and not just all be, in between season 1 and season 2 content. So that might be potential, because I thought, like I said, I thought they might be dropping them weekly, but it doesn't look like that is the case. So I'm wondering if they might tie into season 2 a little bit more.
Yeah, it could be
instead.
like a story happens on an episode, and then to continue it, dive in a little bit deeper, that's when you read the next issue. And then that issue will tie into how the next episode kicks off.
Yeah, so we'll just have issue 1 before season 2 premieres.
Okay. Well, like I said, I already have it here, so I will get to reading that, and we'll prepare the show for that. Maybe they plan that, because it would be silly to me if all 5 episodes or 5 issues are supposed to take place before episode 1, and then they release them. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
So I think it may be more tie-in, and they might have spoilers for the season. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess we can read the first one.
We can read the first one. So that's what we're going to do. Read the first one and come back and record an episode for you, and then we'll break down the trailer. That's what's coming next. So
all right. We're getting close.
We're getting close. I'm getting excited. There's lots happening. X-Men is almost back. So I cannot wait. I'm about to explode from my chest. This is happening. We'll talk to you later.
All right. And I survived the experience. Hope you did too. This is Shadowcat.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, HBO, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast network. Be sure to check out our partner shows, The Mandalore and Dive into DC, covering your favorite Star Wars and DC Comics properties. Thanks for listening.